Park, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series went 200 laps. And in the end, Ron Hornaday Jr. won in the Cummins 200, driving for car owner Teresa Earnhardt. Last night, the Busch Series took center stage. The Kroger 200 turned out to be a crash fest. Tony Stewart, making his debut for Joe Gibbs Racing, was one involved in many wrecks during the evening. But when the smoke cleared, the defending Busch Series champion Randy LaJoie took the checkered flag, and he appears to be on his way to another championship. ESPN, the world leader in sports, welcomes you live to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for our countdown to the Brickyard 400. Skies are partly cloudy here in Indianapolis this morning. Temperature is 83 degrees. The humidity is quite high. They say there's a 30% chance of rain, but hopefully not until this race is over. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. In just a little more than an hour, the green flag will drop on this 43-car starting field, and the quest will begin for the richest purse in stock car history on the track whose winners automatically earn a spot in auto racing history. Now, since Wednesday, when practice began, there have been a variety of emotions seen up and down the garage area. From the thrill of winning the pole position to the disappointment of failing to go fast enough to earn a spot in today's field. And there are other items to deal with in the next hour, but I have expert help to sort through them. And one of our experts is the former NASCAR champion who'll join me in the booth for the race telecast over on ABC, Benny Parsons.
You know, folks, over the years, as we've all watched sporting events, we've come to realize how important the emotional state of the athlete is. Coach is having trouble getting the drivers up for the game. Well, trust me, when NASCAR comes to the Brickyard, it's no problem getting these 43 drivers and teams up. This is a huge event. If they win the race today, handling will be a key. One part of the handling is the aerodynamics on the car. Later in the show, we'll show a little bit more about aerodynamics. Jackaroo?
Well, Benny, if you're from nearby Pittsburgh, Indiana, you come home to Indiana for the Brickyard 400, the first inaugural race. If you're Jeff Gordon, you go to Victory Lane. Jeff Gordon has won 17 races in the last 18 months. He is really a superhero in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. Is he a lot like golfing's Tiger Woods? We'll find out later today. Bill Weber?
Well, Jack, in the racing world or the real world, there are very few Jeff Gordons, those born with the capability to win, a natural raw talent. Most are starved for such success. The early seasons, they're truly a struggle, a test of willpower more than horsepower. But in this starting to field today, there are several young guns ready to shoot it out, looking for a showdown at high noon. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
One of the giant enigmas for the 1997 season is why haven't some of NASCAR's biggest names gone to Victory Lane? Over the next little while, we'll try to unravel that mystery. We'll take a look at some of those dreaded droughts, and we'll talk to some of racing's royalty and see if maybe today that will all change. Bob?
All right. Here at Indianapolis, the good doctor will detail the frustrations of Earnhardt, Wallace, and Elliott. How each hopes to win their winless streaks today. We'll be back in just a moment. ESPN Speed World presentation of Countdown to the Brickyard 400 live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is being brought to you by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. By Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. By Team Monte Carlo Chevy, the cars more champions trust. And by Monsoon Audio Systems, power, attitude, audio for the road. Well, there are 18 Chevys and 18 Ford Thunderbirds in today's starting field here at Indianapolis. This is the final year that the Thunderbird will be Ford's make of choice in NASCAR. After months of planning and designing, the new Ford Taurus was unveiled earlier this week here at Indy. It's the car that Ford has chosen to carry on its racing tradition. Here once again is Dr. Jerry Punch.
Altogether, they own 12 Winston Cup titles and have accumulated over 240 NASCAR wins. Through the modern era of motorsports, the mere mention of names like Earnhardt, Elliott, Waltrip, and Wallace would conjure up visions of victory. But recently, some of NASCAR's biggest guns have been silent.
Boy, it hurts. My worth, Darrell Waltrip, I've always thought my worth was directly related to how I did on the racetrack.
50-year-old Darrell Waltrip hasn't won a race since September of 1992. This veteran knows the ever-growing arsenal of accidents can rattle your resolve. Suddenly, every noise, every vibration is amplified. Almost like an aging football receiver, you begin to hear footsteps.
That's when all of a sudden that back end starts moving a little bit, and you start, ho, 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 ho. Where's it going? I've felt that before. Oh, I know what that means. And when that all starts to happen, those things just roll through your mind, those pictures of tumbling over, or that picture of getting hit in the door. And you know what it is? The older you get, the good times don't last near as long, and the bad times seem to last forever.
Bill Elliott's winless streak stretches nearly 3 years. The glory days of the mid-'80s, which earned him the nickname $1 Million Bill, are but a memory. The '90s have not been nice. Incidents like this shattered his leg and his season, but not his spirit, as evidenced by this impressive fourth-place finish in February's Daytona 500. Despite a win early this year at Richmond, Rusty Wallace really has had very little to celebrate. The same talented team that recorded 5 wins a year ago now leads all contenders in the category of DNFs. Remarkably, they did not finish in 8 of the events over the first half of the 1997 season.
There's not another sport in the world where a 50-year-old man can get out there and compete against a 25-year-old kid and have a chance of beating him. So that's neat about our sport. It's another one of the neat things about our sport. But Dale and Bill and eventually Rusty and others are just going to have to realize the fact that there's a faster gun in town. They're not the hot shot anymore. They may still have the gun and they still may be able to get it up out of the holster, but the other guy shot them dead while they was going for it.
I don't believe that. I'm going to win to the day I quit. I'm not going to be a driver that's going to go out there and run and fizzle out and get worse and worse and worse and just kind of roll over dead out of the sport. I'm going to go out a winner.
Perhaps the biggest mystery involves this man, 7-time Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt, 0 for 45. Without a doubt, Dale's troubles began with this terrible tumble at Talladega 1 year ago. The losses were severe. The car and any chance at an 8th title were gone. But 1 week later, this battered driver battled back. After courageously qualifying and starting the Brickyard 400, Dale was forced to endure the biggest hurt, the gut-wrenching emptiness of a driver separated from his car. But that was just the beginning. There unfortunately have been other tumbles, followed by the taunts. Will the man in black ever get back?
They think they can win again, and they may. We all may win one more time, or we all may win several more times, but it's going to take a special effort, and it's going to be a special day when we do.
Back here at the Brickyard with Dale Earnhardt. Dale, what a difference a year makes. You came here a year ago physically hurt. Today you may be ailing a little bit inside because of the drought, but everybody thinks this could be your day. Could it?
Well, it could. You know, it's off a good race car, and we started 13th here and won the race, so just want to be consistent, keep track position, have good pit stops. I think pit stops won us the race last time, so that's the key. The guys do their job, and I do my job out there. I think we can win.
Fans want to know, is the day today? The man in black is back. I mean, do you feel it inside? You said I'd always had a fire in your belly. You could feel it. Do you feel it today?
I feel pretty good today. Race car's really good, too.
All right, a lot of confidence for Earnhardt. He may get his second Brickyard 400 victory.
Jerry, Darrell Waltrip says that you have to have a perfect day. Well, you had a perfect day in qualifying in the 4th position. How about today in the Brickyard 400? Can a 50-year-old come home victorious?
Did you have to ask me that? How about do you want to dance? Let's do that. Yeah, I think so. We were real good in the final practice, happy hour yesterday. We ended up, I think, 4th or 5th quick again. So obviously there's a couple of 3 cars are better than us. The start is everything. Got to get down on the inside. This is real slick on the outside here. So if I can get that old Parts America car down in front of one of them Fords and they don't run into me, look out.
Now, Darrell, when you won your first Daytona 500, you exited the car and did what we knew from the Cincinnati Bengals time, the Icky Shuffle. Yeah. You did it again yesterday. Can you tell us what the special moves are to the Icky Shuffle?
Well, it's real simple. You got to have these shoes first of all. You got to have chrome shoes, and you got to hip, hop, hip, hop, hippity 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 hop.
If we're lucky, We'll see that a second time in Victory Lane today. Bill Weber?
I can't remember if it was.
Well, Jack, Rusty Wallace is Roger Penske's only ticket to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway these days. But today, not a very good seat for you, a past champions provisional. You start 43rd.
Yeah, I sure do. We had a little problem in qualifying. We lost an engine about an hour before the session was over, and it really set me back. Then I made a tire pressure adjustment right before qualifying. It made the car push real bad, and it was just, everything went downhill from there. I guess I could have requalified yesterday and got the car up to 26th, 27th, but we elected just to use all that time to get race setups in the car and get it right and get it organized, and so that's where we're at.
How is the car?
I believe we're in good shape. I really do. I'm real excited about it. I'm not going to tell you it's the best car I've ever had here, but it feels pretty good, and I believe this is a race where it's going to take a lot of adjustments as the race is going. But track position and pit stops can be real important.
Very difficult to pass here.
Oh, it's real important, real tough to pass. This is probably the toughest racetrack that we go to for passing. It's a pretty single-file racetrack.
Your car owner doesn't come here for IndyCar races anymore. Is that an added burden on you?
No, it's not a burden. He's here. He's all excited about the race. He's talked to everybody. He's even been talking to Tony George a little bit. So it's kind of weird, but they're having a good time out there. They're laughing, and they're ready to get this race going. I am too.
In the Brickyard 400, 3 top 7s in the first 3 races. Can you get another one today?
Yeah, I sure can. I think that the toughest part of my career, or one of the downs, was a couple years ago when I led this thing all day long, and right there at the end, he had a crash on pit road. I got blocked and finished second. But I've had a 4th, a 2nd, a 7th, but never had it come from this far back, man. I'll tell you, this is going to be a tough one today.
Rusty Wallace starts at the rear of the field. He's won more than $500,000 here. Today, he'd just like to win the race. Bob?
All right, thank you, Bill. Well, 4 years ago, Jeff Gordon, who grew up a few miles from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, drove to victory in the first race. He starts 24th in this race here today. We'll have more on our countdown to the Brickyard 400 in a moment. More than 250,000 fans are once again gathering in this fabled racetrack to see who will cross the yard of bricks first. This afternoon will be someone new, or will it be a 2-time winner? Well, Jack Arute has the story of one driver trying to get to victory lane for the 2nd time.
Bob, you don't have to be a golfer to be aware of Tiger Mania. Tiger Woods, the phenom on the golf courses, has been all over publications, media attention, incredible. They call him the new master. But if you ask people in NASCAR who the new master is, it's this young man, Jeff Gordon of Pittsboro, Indiana. And like TV Guide says this week, NASCAR fans think he's king of the road. Tiger Woods, emerging sports hero. Golfing prodigy, a childhood spent honing skills that would propel him to star status. Racing's Tiger Woods is Jeff Gordon, winning before he even started school, both with fathers dedicated to their development.
My stepfather, compared to his father, I think had really a lot of the same goals in mind. They treated it as a profession right from the start, saw talent, and really went with it. And through those years, those were the very important years to teach, me how to drive a race car, how to make passes, how to be a winner, how to accept losing. And I think that's what's really made me the race car driver I am today. So in that sense, I think there's definitely a lot of comparisons between the two of us.
Tiger owns the amateur record book. The sport's only 3-time amateur champion. Graduation to the pros was sweet. The rewards quick. This year, a Masters win and the green jacket. Gordon came home to Indiana in 1994 and got his Masters win by taking the first Brickyard 400. He scored another major with his trip to this year's Daytona 500 victory lane. 17 wins in 18 months and the 1995 Winston Cup.
I'm still overwhelmed by that. I mean, my 3rd year in Winston Cup, to have a year like we had in 1995, I mean, we won 7 races, 8 poles, just everything went our way that year.
Armies of fans celebrate both. 2 young stars riding a wave of media attention, leaving their peers envious. But Jeff Gordon endures a new phenomenon. Boos interspersed with cheers.
I really just laugh about it. I know that the more I win, the more they boo, so obviously I'm doing something right. And it's almost like, you want to almost hear more boos because that means you're winning more races. But at the same time, if I had my choice, I wish everybody was cheering. But I know that's not going to happen. Our fans are very loyal, and they get with their driver, they get with their team or their sponsor, and they stick to them.
Tiger Woods is 21 years old. Jeff Gordon, 25. He'll turn 26 this Monday. Both have at least 20 years to leave their mark.
You know, I've accomplished so much in such a short period of time that it's kind of scary for me to set goals, because every time I set a goal, you know, I accomplish it in the next year or two. I mean, I would love to win multiple championships. That's the next thing that we're looking at. I wouldn't mind winning the Brickyard twice. That'd be all right. And you look at the 7 championships between Petty and Earnhardt. That's almost, to me, you know, unbelievable, out of reach. But you got to make it a goal. You got to make it something out there to really reach for, because we've accomplished a lot in a short period of time, and that would be the ultimate.
But today, the ultimate would be to better his starting position, a disappointing 24th for Jeff Gordon out of Pittsboro, Indiana. He is sequestered right now behind me in his transporter with his crew chief, Ray Evernham. What are they talking about? How to get the push out of the race car. Now, what do I mean by push? The nose, when he goes into the corner, wants to dart out towards the wall. Now, for Jeff Gordon and his crew chief, Ray Evernham, it means 5 pit stops today to solve the handling problems with their race car. Benny Parsons will tell you a little bit more about aerodynamics later in the show and how you can solve those problems. Bob?
And so Jeff Gordon will try to add to his 64-point lead in the series standings by winning here today. Our coverage of NASCAR Winston Cup competition continues next Sunday. We'll be at Watkins Glen, New York for the Bud at the Glen. And the race will be on at 1 o'clock Eastern Time next Sunday afternoon here on ESPN. More from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a moment as Countdown to the Brickyard 400 continues. Welcome back to Indianapolis, where the fans are gathering for the start of the Brickyard 400, which is less now than an hour away. Well, Bill Weber has a story of the changing faces in NASCAR competition.
Well, Bob, there are a lot of young guns in this field, and really when you get into it, you can see that in this race today, a lot of the brightest stars of tomorrow are on this racetrack. They are the young guns, and they want to shine. But you don't measure a young driver by his age. You measure it by experience, or maybe by the miles he runs. But you will find out today that the most important thing, that talent is a vicious enemy of time.
I am the new way to go. I am the way of the future.
At the tender age of 28, Jeremy Mayfield returns to Indy with a promise he showed growing up in Kentucky. A 4th place finish at Demanding Dover, the best of his 6 top 10s this season. Ted Musgrave still seeks that elusive first win. His Ford could have been Sweet 16 at Darlington, but Ted didn't want to spoil the party by moving Dale Jarrett out of the way. So Musgrave settled for 2nd. Mild-mannered Johnny Benson has the potential of Superman. Former Busch Series champion, Winston Cup Rookie of the Year in '96, 8th last August at the Brickyard. His best career finish, a 5th at Pocono. Ward Burton earned his first win at Rockingham in October of 1995, 46 races ago. It is his only win. Burton has the team and the talent. The question now is this his time? Quiet Ricky Craven comes from Maine. He's just 31 years old. His greatest glory? Perhaps his pole-winning performance in neighboring New Hampshire. This season, he has been slowed by injury, but Craven's desire never stalled. Rookie David Green has just 14 career Cup starts. He has 1 Busch Series championship and just missed a 2nd last season. Now he must fight just to make races and once again learn how to win. Michael Waltrip's portrait shows no wins in 348 starts. It was the one start that didn't count that counted the most. His biggest day came at night, winning big money but no points in the Winston All-Star race. Chad Little's return to a seat in Winston Cup has been a frustrating season of promise and disappointment. He used the Busch Series to sharpen his skills and seeks his first win in 109 career starts. 34-year-old Jeff Green has just 14 career Winston Cup starts, only 7 this season. He graduated to his team's Winston Cup ride after an impressive Busch Series win at Las Vegas. Jeff used to drive for Dale Earnhardt. Now he wants to beat him. 34-year-old John Andretti has a famous name, and now he has a famous finish. surviving this explosive last lap finish to win at Daytona on the 4th of July weekend, beating other famous names like Labonte, Marlin, and Earnhardt. Now this Andretti hopes his up and down career goes only one way, up. Through the years, these aging bricks have withstood the test of time. Today, their greatest challenge could be surviving the test of youth.
Well, the youngest gun with the best aim so far is 30-year-old Jeff Burton, who is ready to roll off from 33rd today. It took you 96 races to get your first win, but just a dozen to get your second. Can you get your third 3 races later?
Well, we've got an awfully good race car. Unfortunately, I messed us up qualifying and got us back in 33rd, but this car will drive as good as it did yesterday morning. Wasn't quite as good yesterday afternoon, but the conditions have gotten a little bit more like they were yesterday morning. If it'll do that and we have good pit stops and I keep it out of the wall and it runs all day, we'll have a chance. I like my chances a great deal. I feel pretty confident with it, and it's really good in traffic, which is where we struggle some, but this car is really good in traffic, and I'm excited. I'm pretty pumped up.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Jeff Burton looking for his first top 10 at the Brickyard. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Burton and Andretti, 2 young lions who have already won in 1997. Many believe Mayfield is next. Jeremy, what will it take for that win to come here today?
Man, I tell you what, we got an awfully good car here. It's run good yesterday morning, run good yesterday afternoon. It's just going to, I'm going to have to be patient. You know, it's going to be a long race, and pit strategy is going to be a big deal today. I think you'll see that. But, man, I got a good crew, and I think they'll take care of me on that end and feel like I got a good shot at it.
With the right brakes, Mayfield just may win. Jack?
Jerry, forget about Tiger Mania, forget about Michael Jordan. How'd you like to make this long walk to the Brickyard 400 starting grid, being asked for your autograph, being asked for a picture? That's what's happening to Jeff Gordon right now. Jeff, there's got to be some solitude when you finally get to the race car.
Yeah, that's where I'm most comfortable, and you kind of quiet. But, you know, this is what it's all about. This is what the Brickyard's about. It's exciting. It really gets me pumped up before the race.
Can you be a 2-time winner?
I hope so. We've got a great car, man, and it's going to take us a little while to get from the back to the front, but once we get there, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Bob?
All right, thank you, Jack. Well, a reminder, you'll have to click over to ABC right after the conclusion of this program for the lap-by-lap coverage. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern Time this afternoon. Benny Parsons is strolling around down in the pit in the garage area. He'll tell us more about who and what he sees when we return to Indianapolis. Well, covering the race today is the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron. This is the 72nd consecutive year a Goodyear blimp has covered the nation's top sporting events, including the Brickyard 400. Well, most of the activity we cover here on ESPN when it comes to a race involves the drivers and the crews. But there are also stories away from the racetrack. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
On race day, the drivers are focused on what's happening in the race car and on the racetrack. Their wives are heavily involved in record keeping and scoring in the pits. But what about the rest of the family? That's where this spot is very, very important. We call it the NASCAR Nursery. Its real name is the MRO Family Center. Now, what happens here is 30 minutes before the race and 30 minutes after, the drivers and crew members, youngsters, are dropped off and picked up for what is a very structured daycare and a little non-denominational Bible study. Now, when the track gets quiet, a lot of the people here realize there's been a caution flag. Immediately, teachers call NASCAR and then tell the youngsters, hey, no one's been hurt. Once they know everyone's okay, the joking begins. Ordinarily, one little boy will say to another, hey, I'll bet that was your daddy to hit the wall. The other little boy says, no, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Well, you get the idea. Even at this young age, they're very competitive, although here, it's all in fun. Bob?
All right, thank you, Jerry and friends. Well, now we go back down to Benny Parsons, who's having a leisurely stroll around the Brickyard, searching for familiar faces and any late-breaking stories. Benny?
You know, folks, this place is unbelievable. Since 1911, have been bringing race cars to Gasoline Alley. NASCAR didn't start till 1948. Next year, we'll be 50 years old. In just a few years, this place is going to be 100 years old. So what a great place. Look at this, Bob. I mean, people as far as you can see. All the way down the front stretch, a tunnel of people as these cars will accelerate down for the Brickyard 400. One thing great about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and their pit road, check these pits out. Hey, you guys, get out of the way here a minute. I'm trying to show them the pits. Just step aside here. Step aside. Step aside. Look at this. Just get over here a minute. No, that way. This pit is fit. How come you guys... Hey, Bob, I found some guys say they own the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I know Kerry Agajanian. Introduce me to your friends.
This is my brother JC Jr. here.
Benny, you're the greatest.
Good to see you.
Chris, my little.
Hi, Benny. What are you eating today?
Well, I'm missing lunch, as a matter of fact. But now your dad, when did he start coming to Indy?
Well, back in the 40s, late 40s.
1947. This is our 50th year here, our family, 50 years.
Wow.
Here.
Did he ever win the Indy 500?
Absolutely. 1952 with Troy Ruttman. And in 1963, Parnelli Jones. He brought him here as a rookie, and he won the race here in 1963.
We always let our attorney do the talking. You know that, don't you?
I was on the pit crew then, and that's that ring from that race in 1963. And there it is, and he's got one too. Look at that.
Wow. This is pretty doggone.
Parnelli helped design this ring along with my dad, and all the pit crew and all the guys that worked on the race car, that winning number 98 car, got a ring like this in 1963.
That was the year that Parnelli won?
That's it.
Driving your dad's car?
And driving my dad's car, number 98.
Right over that yard of bricks right there.
Man. They didn't have stock cars then at Indianapolis.
In 1963, that's the year I started driving stock cars, a 1954 Ford. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that these pits are 50 feet long, about 10 feet longer than most stock car pits. So, Bob, they got a lot of room to negotiate their pit stops down here.
Well, we'd rather hear from the Agajanians anyway to see how long the pit stalls are. Well, when we come back, Benny and I will recap the 2 days of qualifying that we had for this year's Brickyard 400. Back in a moment. Here at the Brickyard, 51 cars were going for the 43 spots.
And the first to try was Rich Bickle in a second car from the Darrell Waltrip stable. And Bickle was impressive at 176.087. Jeff Gordon had won the pole for the last two Brickyards, but he, and in fact all three Hendrick cars, struggled in practice and qualifying, and Jeff ended up only 24th fastest.
Darrell Waltrip is the oldest driver in the field, but he showed in the time trials that he's not lost the fire, moving to the pole position for a short time with a speed of 176.8. Then the defending Brickyard champion Dale Jarrett moved to the 2.5-mile oval. Last year, he won the race from the 24th starting spot. For a while, Jarrett was on the pole this year until his teammate Ernie Irvin knocked him off. Holding back tears for his critically ill mother, Irvin out-qualified Jarrett and all the others with a new track record of 177.7.
The drama wasn't over yet, however. The 95 winner, Dale Earnhardt, hoping to break a 45-race winless streak here this weekend. He did knock Ernie off the pole, but he did qualify fast enough for the 5th starting position. Then his qualifying line was nearly exhausted. Joe Nemechek, who has earned the nickname Front Row Joe, showed why he's called that when he bumped Jarrett to the second row and put himself beside Irvin.
On Friday, 18 requalified in second round, led by Jeff Green at a speed of 176.153, ninth fastest overall. And with that, the 43-car field was set for the 4th Brickyard 400. 38 drivers qualified on their speed and time, and then these drivers took provisionals to get in. Kyle Petty will start 39th, Jimmy Spencer, Ricky Craven, and Brett Bodine also provisionals, and Rusty Wallace chose a previous champions provisional. He'll start in 43rd position. Now we do have some drivers that were here but failed to qualify and went home. They include Mike Wallace, Jeff Bodine, Hut Strickland, Tim Steele, Dave Marcus, Morgan Shepherd, Bobby Hillen, and Dick Trickle. Jack Arute is standing by with the man who'll lead them to green.
Well, Bob, you talked about Ernie Irvin and the mixed emotions that he brought to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then his concerns about his mother, and also the announcement that Kenny Irwin would replace him in the Robert Yates racing car. First of all, how is your mom?
Mom's doing just a little bit better. You know, we love her, and we're all of our support's with her, and you know, all the race fans have really got to a lot of prayers, and that's helping.
A lot of people don't realize that she's the president of your fan club, and she's really been the backbone to everything that you've gone through.
There's no doubt, you know, she's somebody that's there all the time, and been there all throughout my career and all throughout my family.
Now, let's talk about the race. The Brickyard 400, the previous 3 editions, you were always a key player, but you've yet to be where we are right now in Victory Lane. What's going to be different this year?
You know, I hope that we're going to be in Victory Lane instead of, you know, talking to somebody over in the garage area. So, you know, I think we've got a really good car. This Texaco Havoline Ford has run excellent during practice, and we hope it'll do it all during the day.
Bob, you can't blame him if he thinks the Indianapolis Motor Speedway owes him one.
And the point standings as we go into this event shows that Jeff Gordon has a 64-point edge on Mark Martin, with defending series champion Terry Labonte third. Dale Jarrett is fourth, and then Jeff Burton. Dale Earnhardt is sixth. Ted Musgrave has moved into the top 10. It's been a tradition here at Indianapolis to take the drivers around the racetrack in a car prior to the start of the race. That's what they're doing right now, and I believe Bill Weber is with one of the drivers.
Best seat in the house, Bob, riding with Mark Martin and Derek Cope, and you are 64 points behind in the point chase, but more critical right now, Mark, you start 31st. You have to find a way to get that Valvoline Ford to the front.
Well, it's sure going to be tough today. Passing is really hard here at Indy, but we have a great race car and a great race team. We'll give it our best shot. We've been really racing well here this year, and we've got a proven car, so hopefully things will work out okay for us.
And Derek Cope riding along. What do you think of this experience, huh?
Well, this is as best as you can get it, I think. You know, this place is surrounded by fans all the way around it, and it's an outstanding place to come to. Great venue. We're just excited to be here.
Derek Cope and Mark Martin looking for a win at the Brickyard. Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, for the fourth time in 6 races, Joe Nemechek starts on the front row. Joe, you got this starting up front down to with science, but what will it take to stay there today?
We need to be consistent. We got to keep our Bell-South Chevy running strong all day long. We're going to have to adjust on it quite a bit. You know, the cloud cover kind of threw everybody for a loop this morning, so we made a couple adjustments, and I hope we went the right direction.
Well, if he can pull it off, Bob, it'll be no more front row Joe. It'll be newest winner Nemechek.
Here's a look at the complete starting lineup. Ernie Irvin and Nemechek are on the front row. Dale Jarrett and Darrell Waltrip in row 2. Third row, Dale Earnhardt and Mike Skinner. Row 4, Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader. David Greed and Rich Bickler in row 5. The 6th row, Robbie Gordon and Bobby Hamilton. Sterling Marlin and Wally Dallenbach make up row 7. Elliott and Mayfield are in the 8th row. Row 9, Rick Maston, Michael Waltrip. In the 10th row, Steve Grissom and Johnny Benson. Row 11, Chad Little and Ted Musgrave. In the 12th row, it's Ron Barfield and Jeff Gordon. 13th row, Bobby Labonte and Jeff Green. Lake Speed and Jeff Purvis are in row 14. The 15th row, Kenny Wallace and Ed Verrier. Mark Martin and Derek Cope make up row 16. Jeff Burton and Rick Wilson in the 17th. 18th row, John Andretti and Ward Burton. Then Greg Sykes and Terry Labonte. 20th row, Kyle Petty and Jimmy Spencer. Ricky Craven and Brett Bodine in the 21st row. And Rusty Wallace in row number 22. Tune in to ESPN and ESPN2 for semifinal and final action from the Du Maurier Open in Montreal. Semifinal action between Evgeny Kafelnikov and Chris Woodruff today at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, and the finals tomorrow at 2 o'clock. On the Deuce, you can see the second round semifinal match tonight at 10 o'clock on ESPN. The start of the race is getting closer. We'll be right back.
Oftentimes, we've seen a Winston Cup car lose air pressure on a tire while going around the racetrack and still be able to come onto pit road with the tire intact and make the exchange. Now, there's a reason for that, and it's the introduction of stiff sidewall construction to the racing radial tire. Goodyear uses what's called an inner liner to provide an extended mobility for their racing tires. Well, the folks at Goodyear have taken that technology and they've now introduced it into a line of passenger tires. That entire stiff sidewall extended mobility cord is now in each radial tire that's standard operating equipment on the brand new Corvettes. They can go as much as 100 miles with 0 air pressure. Now, this is just a classic example of technology that we see in racing transferred to the American passenger car and you.
And of course, we'll be seeing who gets the best tire wear during the course of the race. A lot of food being served here because there are a lot of fans. $250,000's worth at Indianapolis. Back in a moment. The cars are gridded on the front stretch. Start of the race a little less than a half hour. Well, a couple of terms you'll hear throughout the race are loose and push. And they can be a result of aerodynamics, as explained by our expert analyst, Benny Parsons.
In the 3 years that NASCAR has been coming to the Brickyard, the drivers have found one thing to be consistent. Passing is very, very difficult. One of the reasons is aerodynamics. The teams have found they can use air to make the car handle. As the air goes across the car, it forces down on the front of the car, the rear of the car, pushing the whole car down against the asphalt, making the tires adhere to the racetrack. The problem happens when two cars run together. The air no longer goes across the car the way it did before. The air misses the rear of the front car and the front of the rear car. That's exactly what the Airstream does when the cars run together. As we watch these two cars come off the corner, let me show you artistically what happens. As the front car goes in the corner, he loses that downforce on the back of the car, making the back of the car go towards the wall. That's called loose. The rear car, as they go in the corner, he loses the downforce on the nose. It pushes toward the wall. That's called push. Bill Elliott does it perfectly as he passes Sterling Marlin a couple of years ago. Through the short chute, he will dive to the inside to let just a little bit of air get on the nose of his car, helping that car turn. As he closes on the back of the 22, he makes that car loose. So Sterling not able to get on the accelerator the way he should, Elliott able to go by. Now we'll slow the tape down and show you how Bill Elliott moves over about a half a car width to get some air on the nose of that car to help him get it turned. He can get back on the accelerator and make the pass down the straightaway. But passing can be done. Just ask last year's winner, Dale Jarrett.
So that's a quick lesson in aerodynamics and what we may see here today, a little pushing and a little being loose during the course of the race. Well, the defending champion is ready to go for win number 2. Let's go down to pit road.
Well, just a moment ago, Dale Jarrett was up on the podium here and is getting ready to climb in a convertible and get a photograph taken. Last year's Brickyard 400 winner, coming all the way from 24 starting spot. And Dale Jarrett here celebrating. And DJ, they're making a special award here for Dale Jarrett as he is a winner, getting more and more bucks here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway as a front runner award being presented to DJ, who starts today back in 3rd position. And folks, the festivities here are very, very special. Dale Jarrett will tell you that although he has won, DJ, I know you have 11 victories, but 2 have been in Daytona. This one here has to be very, very special among that group.
Ranks right there at the top. This is a great race and great facility. Just to see all these people here is unbelievable.
All right, Dale Jarrett, awards continuing here as he will get ready to be on a convertible and go around in front of this massive crowd and maybe have a chance of winning 2 in a row here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Mary Holman George and Tony George were standing behind Dale Jarrett there. There is the car that he will try to win another Brickyard 400 in today. The tension begins to mount. The fans are in their seats and the drivers are going around the racetrack. The 4th annual Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is just about ready to start. And again, our coverage is over on ABC television. And we will be back with more from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and wrap things up here in just a moment. ESPN Speed World's countdown to the Brickyard 400 live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is being brought to you by Monsoon Audio Systems. Power, attitude, audio for the road. By Team Monte Carlo Chevy, the cars more champions trust. By Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. And by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. The command to start engines and the green flag get closer as we await the start of the 4th Brickyard 400. Now we take a look back at the first 3 races. The decision to run a stock car race at Indy was made in 1993, and then on August 6, 1994, the big day finally came. Many fans and drivers, for that matter, never thought that such an event would occur. Stock cars on a track that until then had been reserved for open wheel racing. Rick Mast had the honor of winning the first pole position and leading the first competitive lap. Coming off a restart on lap 100, the Bodine brothers, Jeff and Brett, showed more competitive than brotherly love. First, a tap by Jeff got Brett loose, allowing Jeff to pass. And then a harder hit that sent Jeff into a spin. That triggered a multi-car incident that involved, among others, Bobby Labonte. The elder Bodine was not happy with his brother's actions.
Brett spun me out. We've had some family problems and personal problems between us here lately, and he just unfortunately took it out on the racetrack with me, and never expected he'd do it. He's my brother. I still love him, but he spun me out.
Ernie Irvin, who had started back in the 9th row, drove the Robert Yates Ford around the hometown favorite Jeff Gordon with 11 laps to go, and it looked as if Ernie would hang on for the win. But 6 circuits later, a tire began going down on the 28 car, allowing Gordon to retake the lead and forcing Ernie to the pits. From then on, it was all Jeff Gordon. We'll remember the name, Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
Man, oh man, oh man.
1995 was one of those rainy, miserable days in Indiana. Few held out any hope of getting the race started, but around 4 p.m. Indianapolis time, the field pulled onto the track. As the sun reached the low angles in the western sky, Dale Earnhardt chased Rusty Wallace and Gordon, who had hopes of winning 2 in a row at the Brickyard. Rusty had problems getting off pit road less than 30 laps from the checkered when he had to nearly stop as 2 cars collided in front of him. Any hopes of giving his owner Roger Penske another victory at Indy, first in the stock cars, were dashed. Wallace came onto the track just ahead of Dale, but Earnhardt was at full speed and approaching turn number 3 went into the lead. Earnhardt was the final of 11 different drivers to lead the second Brickyard 400. The 7-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion had won the richest NASCAR purse ever, beating Rusty by 37/100ths of a second.
The car was great. It really ran strong, 24th to the lead. I screwed up qualified. I told them not to pay attention to that, but what really killed me, I left the pit area and 2 cars wrecked in front of me on the pit road. I had to stop. They let Earnhardt get in front of me, and that was the race right there.
The weather on race day 96 was just the opposite of the previous year. Sunshine and a pleasant breeze greeted the fans and drivers as Gordon led the field to green for the 2nd straight year. Dale Earnhardt gave his seat up early to Mike Skinner. Earnhardt was nursing painful injuries suffered in a devastating crash at Talladega, Alabama.
The car was real comfortable, and I wasn't in much pain riding along there, but you know, the plan was to get him in there, so just in case anything happened, I wouldn't hurt myself anymore. And dadgum, it's hard to get out of there, Jerry. I mean, you know, it's my life right here.
Johnny Benson had not had much to brag about in his rookie year until the Brickyard. He led on 3 different occasions for a total of 67 laps, the most of any driver. He eventually wound up in 8th position. The Yates teammates, Irvin and Dale Jarrett, exchanged the lead twice in the last 25 laps before Jarrett went to the front for good with 7 laps to go. The race ended under caution, with Jarrett winning another big event, much to the emotional delight of his father, Ned, himself a former 2-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion. And with downtown Indianapolis in the background, we now begin to look ahead to this year's event. We call upon those who will be covering the race on ABC for their predictions. And we go first to Benny Parsons.
Jack Roush and his 3 drivers are having a terrific 1997. Mark Martin has won twice. He is 2nd in the point standings. Jeff Burton, he's won twice. He's 5th in the point standings. Ted Musgrave, he's 10th in the point standings. So who do you think is pumped up for the Brickyard 400? Jackaroo?
Benny, I think this might be the only race on the Winston Cup Tour where points don't mean anything. Ask any driver. They don't talk about how many points are they going to earn coming out of the Brickyard 400. They talk about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In this yard of bricks, over 80 years of tradition here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. While the Brickyard 400 may only have 3 years under their belt, this is the 4th running of the event. Every single driver in this starting field wants to be part of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway tradition.
More and more NASCAR Winston Cup racing is moving from a team sport to a multi-car team sport. 8 of the top 12 qualifiers today are teammates. Why is that important? Well, in February's Daytona 500, Team Hendrick worked together and all 3 swept the top 3 spots. So today, Dale Earnhardt needs Mike Skinner. Darrell Waltrip needs Rich Bickle. Ernie Irvin needs Dale Jarrett. Get the idea? They're going to try to tag team their way to a Brickyard title.
Well, no place has a history of heroes and heartbreaks like Indianapolis does. Racers have dreamed about winning here. Dreamers have raced and won here. It's a spectacular event. one that everyone wants to see. Now, it'd be easy to say that the sun is going to shine on one of the big guys today, but I think you could see someone emerge from the shadows, perhaps one of those young guns, giving the fans a new hero to cheer for as he rides into the sunset on 700 horses.
Each year we've seen an increase in the amount of passing that the drivers are able to achieve on this track, and some thought that the rumble strips this year would make passing at a premium. But if last night's happy hour is any indication, we'll see lots of passing today and side-by-side racing all around the racetrack.
The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
Something happened in Indianapolis, Indiana in August of 1994 that many thought would never happen. Stock cars racing on a track that to that point had been reserved for the open wheel cars on Memorial Day weekend. It was the second largest single-day sporting event in the world, and fans were treated to wheel-to-wheel racing as they had never seen before. Since then, it's become one of the biggest races of the season, and a win today would impact many of the drivers in different ways. A Cinderella story was played out 3 years ago as Jeff Gordon, who learned to race here in Indiana, won that inaugural event. And today, he hopes to become the race's first two-time winner and extend his lead in the season point standings. For Terry Labonte, a win today would be the biggest of his career. He is the defending series champion. Dale Jarrett is the event's defending champion. As a two-time Daytona 500 winner, he has a knack for capturing big races, and a victory today would further that reputation. His teammate Ernie Irvan is temporarily out of a ride next year. On Thursday, Ernie won the pole for today's race at record speed, and he's looking to up his stock with a triumph. No one needs to finish first more than Dale Earnhardt. The Brickyard's second winner is mired in the longest winless streak of his 20-year career. Will that streak end today? And then there's Mark Martin. He's second in the series points and hopes to close in on Gordon. NASCAR stock car racing is the sport of the 90s, and today it's the richest, most attended event on the world's most famous racetrack. From the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's the fourth running of the Brickyard 400. 89 years after it first opened its doors and hosted a race, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is still thriving. It has become the world's greatest race course, and today it hosts for the fourth time the Brickyard 400. The weather here in Indianapolis is quite warm, partly cloudy skies, a temperature of 83 degrees. The humidity is quite high, and the forecast is for the possibility, a 30% chance of some showers, but not until later this afternoon. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins, and in less than 15 minutes, the Speedway will roar to life, and 43 drivers will embark on a journey of 400 miles, 160 laps to nowhere, ending exactly where they started, but allowing one driver to enshrine his name in history books as winner of stock car racing's greatest challenge. There have been many stories played out here since the cars went onto the track on Wednesday, including the emotional run for the pole on Thursday. For more on that story, here's Jack Arute.
And it was an emotional run for the pole by this man, Ernie Irvan, a key player in the previous runnings of the Brickyard 400, but never a winner. And now he's the lame duck driver for Robert Yates Racing. And if that wasn't enough, he goes to this post position with a heavy heart. His mother critically ill back in Charlotte, North Carolina. But Ernie, what can you do to change things from the previous years? What are your concerns about this year's Brickyard 400?
Really, I mean, just the competition. The competition's really tough, and my teammate's probably one of the biggest, competitors in this race. And, I feel like, this Texaco Avalon Ford has got the capabilities of running up front all day, and we're just going to have to just buy our time.
You said despite the fact that your mother was so critically ill, she would be the one that would have said, Ernie, come here, sit the car in the pole, and take it to victory lane.
Well, she would have. And, Mom, we love you. And my whole family, everybody that's involved, and we're going to do everything for them.
It's been an emotional roller coaster. Bill? Jerry?
Well, it's been an emotional week here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And a year ago, it was an emotional day for one Dale Earnhardt. He came here and very courageously played hurt. Something he did not want to do was climb out of that race car. The anxiety, the emptiness inside of being separated. And now, Dale alone with his thoughts as we have a silence moment here before the beginning of the fourth annual Brickyard 400. He wants it in a very, very bad way. For 1997, Dale Earnhardt has been winless, 0 for 45. Unheard of, almost unbelievable for a man that has won so much and meant so much to the sport of NASCAR stock car racing. He sits in his car alongside teammate Mike Skinner. They own row 3. It is an all-childress row, as Earnhardt, now healthy 100%, doesn't want to reflect on what happened a year ago. He would like to be able to go to victory lane here today at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They say when you win one here, you want to win the second one even more. And the last time he came here as a healthy driver, he went to victory lane. That's the memory he has, not what happened a year ago when he had a hard time climbing in and even a harder time climbing out of that race car. As Dale Earnhardt now sits in his car thinking about what could happen here today. Bill Weber?
Well, Jerry, Jeff Gordon turns 26 years old on Monday. He's already won millions. He's won a championship, and he's won here. This season, he's won 7 times. And you measure the success of a driver by the number of wins, but you measure his heart by his number of losses. And Jeff Gordon, you're almost in a slump. 3 races in a row without a win, but you do come here as the points leader. The 24 car starts 24th today. How do you get to the front?
Well, slowly. You know, we're in no hurry. It's a shorter race, 400 miles, but this a big track and tough to pass on. I'm going to rely on my pit crew a little bit, and we're going to have to get the job done on the racetrack too. But I think, you know, the car, we've set up the car to try to maneuver and pass, but once we get up, you know, in front of a group or hopefully towards those leaders, we're going to have to adjust the car a little bit. And, you know, now we're back to typical Indiana weather, hot, humid, overcast, so it ought to be interesting all day.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Bob Jenkins.
Twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Here comes the flyover. That was Tracy Bird with the national anthem, as we're just moments away now from the start of the race. Let's go back down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dale, after all you've been over here, how badly do you want this one here today?
It's time to win, Larry. It's just the kind of race that you want to win, but it's time for us to win. This race team.
All right, his crew members talking to him there in the headset. You can't hear him. Hey, if this guy has his way today, the man in black will definitely be back. Bob?
Well, the former NASCAR Winston Cup champion joins me here in the booth now, Benny Parsons, and it's pretty obvious, I think, that this is the 4th time that these drivers have been here, and the edge is off. There's no emotion down there on pit road.
Oh, no, not whatsoever. You talked about it just a moment ago. 89 years since this racetrack opened. The best-known speedway on the face of the earth. Every stock car driver desperately wants to win the Brickyard 400.
Wouldn't it have been nice if they had started running here before you retired?
Oh, man, oh, man. And almost $5 million today, the purse, unheard of in stock car racing.
Well, you know, it's been a tradition here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to get the command from a member of the Holman-George family. Now, Mary Fendrick Holman, the widow of Tony Holman, who bought this facility after World War II, gave the command for many, many years, but her health will not permit that now. At the Indianapolis 500, her daughter, Mary Holman-George, gave the command, and it appears as if she is ready to do it once again. We're awaiting for the announcement from Mary Holman-George, the chairman of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to give those 4 words that will begin our quest for Brickyard Gold here this afternoon in Indianapolis.
Fans, we have come to that time
that we've all been waiting. Here to start the running of the 4th Brickyard 400 is the chairman of the board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mary Holman George.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And those magic words bring to life.
43 cars have roared to life here in Indianapolis. As we get set for the start of this race, we get down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Richard showed us on the top cars that start in row 3. We're talking about Earnhardt and Skinner. Richard, you got a lot to gain today, but also a lot to lose. What's the emotion?
You know, everyone's ready for it. You know, we put in 5 days of testing. Both teams have worked to put in a tremendous amount. We just need to win this race. And it'd be great to see that 3-car win, too.
Boy, what that effort wouldn't do to jumpstart this team's emotion. Let's check in.
Yeah. Well, Jerry Punch, let me tell you a little bit about what happened 1 year ago at this Brickyard 400. Remember when the cars would go into turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4? They'd kick up the dirt. They'd bring the left sides all the way down to the dirt. With the sod held down by certain types of staples, they kicked up into the racetrack. Kyle Petty, Jeff Gordon had a concrete kind of meeting with the wall. This year, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is introduced what they're calling ripple strips down on the inside below the white line. What are they? They're 3-inch wide, 1.5-inch high pieces of compressed polyethylene rubber, just like you'd have a garbage bag made out of, but maybe 100 times stronger and stiffer. These are down in the corners. If a driver gets up alongside of it, well, it makes a noise, it upsets the handling of the car, but he can still keep control. Jared, Bill Weber.
1 year ago, Todd Parrott celebrated in Victory Lane here. Your chances today, Todd, of defending one of the biggest titles in racing.
I think we got a great chance today. You know, we got a great Robert Yates engine in that car. And things handling real well too. So really excited about our chances today. I'd like to take a second and say hello to Debbie and Tyler back home. They're watching this thing, and Mary laid up in the hospital with that new baby. So hello everybody.
Last words of encouragement to your driver were?
Save your stuff for the end, baby.
That's when it matters the most. To Bob Jenkins.
Here's the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole, last year's runner-up here at the Brickyard, Ernie Irvin. He qualified at a new track record. Joe Nemechek is on the front row for the 5th time this year. The second row, the defending champion of the event, Dale Jarrett, and the oldest driver in the field, Darrell Waltrip. The third row, Dale Earnhardt hoping to break a 45-race winless streak, and Mike Skinner, the pole sitter at Daytona. The fourth row, Ricky Rudd, who's won at least one race for the last 14 years, and Ken Schrader, 7th here in 1994. The fifth row, David Green, a rookie in the series, and Rich Bickle, who finished 29th here in the inaugural race. The sixth row, Robbie Gordon, who finished 29th in this year's Indianapolis 500, and Bobby Hamilton in the car owned by Richard Petty. Sterling Marlin is starting 13th, the two-time Daytona winner, and Wally Dallenbach, whose father drove here at Indianapolis in the 500 13 times. The eighth row, Bill Elliott, who's never finished outside the top 10, and Jeremy Mayfield in a car owned by Cale Yarborough. The ninth row, Rick Mast, the inaugural pole sitter, and Michael Waltrip, who finished 8th in that first race. The 10th row, Steve Grissom, who started on the front row at Daytona this year, and Johnny Benson, who led the most laps here in 96. In the 11th row, Chad Little in his first race here, and Ted Musgrave, who was fastest in the final practice yesterday afternoon.
Row 12, we find Ron Barfield Jr., Bill Elliott's protege, alongside Jeff Gordon, 1994 winner, also the points leader. Back in the next row, Bobby Labonte, alongside Jeff Green, fastest second-round qualifier. Then comes Lake Speed, alongside Jeff Purvis, the very first race for this team. Then it's Kenny Wallace and Winston-Salem's Ed Berrier. Row 16, Mark Martin and Derek Cope. Row 17, Jeff Burton and Rick Wilson. Row 18, hometown favorite John Andretti and Ward Burton. Row 19, Greg Sachs and Terry Labonte, 1996 champion. Row 20, Kyle Petty and Jimmy Spencer. Row 21 is Ricky Craven, Brett Bodine, and Rusty Wallace, 43rd in today's field.
And the average speed of the field, 175.663, a new record. 8 drivers failed to qualify fast enough to make the race. There you see them. They include Hut Strickland, who's not racing for the first time in NASCAR Winston Cup competition this year. Well, there are 18 Chevys, 18 Fords, and 7 Pontiacs that are getting ready to take the green flag for 160 laps of racing. Back with the start of the race after this.
The Brickyard 400 on ABC Sports, brought to you by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. Team Monte Carlo, Chevy, the cars more champions trust. Monsoon, power, attitude, audio for the road. And Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time.
The cars will go around the racetrack 3 times before getting the green flag, beginning 160 laps of racing. We get down to Jerry Punch.
Well, if practice is any indicator, you know, it's going to be very difficult to pass in the corners, which means track position is very critical. The longer you stay on the racetrack and the less time you spend in the pits, the better chance you have of finishing there. That means that fuel calculations are very, very important. This little calculator here is what Dale Jarrett's team will be using. If they calculate right, they can make it in 3 stops. And when they do pit, they want to take on 2 tires and not 4. That 2-tire stop will save them 4 seconds and give them better track position. If they stay up front, they may finish there. Bill?
Well, like Jerry said, this track may be 2.5 miles long, but trying to pass it, well, it's tougher than trying to hijack Air Force One. So the fast guy's going to try and do most of their passing right here on pit road. Now take a look at these pit stalls. They're huge. You could almost park the team transporter in here, but they're never big enough. And as the day gets longer, these pit stalls get shorter. Traffic and discarded tires by the team in front of you could be huge factors in determining track position after you stop for fuel. Bob Jenkins?
Just look at the people, Benny. They've got every seat in this place filled to capacity.
Looks like most of my relatives showed up. There's no doubt about it.
We'll go 160 laps. The track record is 155.206. Should have a stop for fuel, if not a yellow, between 38 and 42 circuits. And they're going for almost $4.5 million here this afternoon. The point standings show that Jeff Gordon is on top by 64 over Mark Martin. Terry Labonte, last year's champion, is 3rd in the point standings. Dale Jarrett, who won the race last year here, is 4th. And Jeff Burton, by virtue of 2 wins and a lot of consistency, is 5th in the point standings. Well, the difference between the slowest and the fastest qualifier here, the fastest, of course, was Ernie Irvan, and the slowest was Terry Labonte, 0.899 seconds. That is the closest in Brickyard history. On-board cameras with Rusty Wallace.
Yes, there's Rusty Wallace. Teams at the front. Yates Racing started 1st and 3rd. Sabatis, 2nd, 11th, and 14th. Waltrip Racing, Darrell Waltrip, Rich Bickle, 4th and 10th. Richard Childress Racing, Earnhardt and Skinner side by side, 5th and 6th.
There are indeed a lot of 2-car and 3-car teams in this series this year, and it appears to be paying off because many of them are starting up front. We're on board with Dale Earnhardt now as he looks back onto Ricky Rudd. We're also riding with Jeff Gordon.
And check it out, Fayetteville got 10,000 people to donate bone marrow. That way to work, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Here is Rich Bickle as we look back from his car to Bobby Hamilton.
That's Jeff Burton's Exide Ford as he follows his teammate Mark Martin deep back in the field.
And this is the shot from Johnny Benson's car. Will be interesting to see whether or not he can duplicate what he did last year here and lead the most laps. Well, the crowd now begins to rise to its feet as we're just a few moments away from the start of this 4th Brickyard 400. The cars are at the end of the backstretch and are entering turn number 3.
I played golf with Mike Skinner here at this golf course on Tuesday. He told me as we drove the golf cart under the racetrack to come inside the speedway, He told me every time I drive inside this racetrack, the hair on my arm just stands up. This is a magnificent facility, and he'd love to win this race today.
There is something about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that is unequal. Maybe it's the fact that it's been here for 89 years and has seen such great competition and racing throughout the years. But I know one thing, every race fan in America is glad that the NASCAR Winston Cup stock cars have been invited here, and now for the 4th time they're just about set to get the green flag. The pace car pulls off, and let's see if we get a start now as Ernie Irvan and Joe Nemechek lead them down.
And we can see the cars accelerating, and Nemechek quickly dives to the inside.
And it appears as if everybody wants to get in single file for the first turn, and that's what's happening. Cleanly through the south end of the racetrack, turns 1 and 2. The race is down the backstretch, and Ernie Irvan has the lead as they enter turn number 3. That's Nemechek running in 2nd position. Dale Jarrett is 3rd, and Darrell Waltrip 4th.
They come off the 4th corner to complete the 1st lap. It will be Ernie Irvan lead in the 1st lap. Dale Jarrett dives to the inside of Nemechek, trying to take over that 2nd spot. Meanwhile, back in the back, they're about 3 abreast as all the cars in the rear trying their best to get to the front.
This is the 12th race of the year that Ernie Irvan has led, and the 383rd lap that he has led in competition. We see Dale Earnhardt now to the inside of the racetrack trying to pick up a position on Darrell Waltrip. Ernie Irvan with about a 4 or 5 car length advantage as once again they're down the backstretch.
Stayed in line. Nemechek still leads. Jarrett, Waltrip. There you see the top 10. You saw that Robbie Gordon, the 40 cars, moved into the top 10.
Drivers being careful to keep those left side tires out of the rumble strips that have been installed here since the drivers were here for their test. Again, everybody stays in line here as we complete another lap, and Sterling Marlin is on pit road.
Sterling Marlin, unscheduled pit stop. Almost the same thing, and we've got a crash.
Somebody into the wall down in the 1st turn area.
That's Chad Little in the John Deere Pontiac.
And so the caution comes out here at Indianapolis for the first time. Benny, it looks like as he's had serious contact with the outside wall.
He sure has. We see water coming across the racetrack. That means that the radiator is broken. Meanwhile, the cars will race back to the line for their be scored by NASCAR.
And the work, meanwhile, is going on the Sterling Marlin car as he has made an early entrance onto pit road.
Sure looks like an engine problem the way they're walking around down with the hood raised up.
A lot of speculation as to whether Sterling Marlin will be back with this team next year.
Benny, let me interrupt you. You know what they're doing down here? They took the tire pyrometer, which measures temperature, and they're looking down by the head. They're actually measuring the temperature of the head and also down by the exhaust. Benny, you know, if you check that out, you might be able to tell if you've got a cylinder problem or not, especially this early in the race.
That's what they're trying to do. The coolest one is to find a cylinder that is not 1,000 degrees. That means that cylinder is not working. You see the rescue people talking to Chad Little.
Chad started 21st in this race in his first event here at Indianapolis. Well, there is where the traction was lost and Chad slid into the outside wall. Apparently no other car involved in the incident, and we didn't have a good enough shot of it to determine whether or not he was hit or just simply lost control down in turn 1.
A lot of damage to the right front of that car.
Yeah, and in any case, the race is under caution for the first time. Chad Little has gotten out of the car, so he's okay, but the car is in very, very sad shape. Ernie Irvan is the leader here after 3 laps of the Brickyard 400. 4 laps complete here at the Brickyard 400 with Ernie Irvin in the lead and the race under caution because of a crash involving Chad Little. Well, for complete coverage of the Brickyard 400, including the latest news, notes, and results, check out the ABC Sports Racing area on America Online. Click on keyword ABC Sports. Well, high overhead today is what a blimp turns into at Miller time, the Miller Eagle. The Miller Eagle is the first airplane designed to be an eye in the sky on sports television, providing us with some great overhead shots here today.
As he flies over the Goodyear blimp. Now we see the golf course on the left-hand side of the screen.
We remain under caution here. Here's Jeff Purvis, who has also made an entrance onto pit road. We've got Sterling Marlin and Jeff Purvis, and Purvis has gotten out of the car.
See some damage to the nose of the car, but at least he's laughing and joking.
So they're pushing that car now, looks like behind the wall. There is damage on the 92 car of Ron Barfield.
I would guess that's how the nose of the 12 car became dented. Looks like he ran in the back of the 92 car.
Let's go down to Jack Arute.
Well, Sterling Marlin, you told me as you were rolling down here to the transport area, this is how many motors?
3 motors, I guess, about the last 8 laps. We never got to run much yesterday. We lost the engine warming up and run about 5 or 6 laps yesterday evening and burn a piston today, I guess. And I think we had a good car to pass Robbie, and then run another pack down, and the motors started laying down on us. But I hated the Kodak team. The guys worked awful hard, and we just took a gamble this morning, put the same setup we had last year, and it's going to work good, and just wasn't our day.
Let's talk about the start for a minute. Everybody dropped in a single file in the front rows. Is that how concerned you all are about passing here?
Well, this is a hard place to pass, and it's definitely not a 2-lane track, and you just try to get to the bottom quick as you can, and you know, it's a give and take deal. A lot of guys, probably checked up and let somebody in. It's a long race, and no need in doing something to wipe the whole field out. But it's a nice track. They really pay good here, and I wish we could have finished. I think we had a good car last year and got caught up in the deal with Kyle, and I think we had a good car today.
Jerry, they still pay very well. Last place, where Sterling will finish, should be over $55,000.
And that may be some consolation to 38-year-old Jeff Purvis. Jeff, a short day for you here. Your Chevrolet headed to the garage. What happened?
Well, we got in. They had the wreck down there, and I got into the back of the Ron Barfield car and busted the radiator. But then we had some wiring problem. I don't really know what happened right there. It started. I think it caught on fire up under the dash, and just it's made a short day so far. Maybe they get it fixed, and we'll get back out there and run a little bit.
Well, Bob Jenkins, just that quickly, 3 of the 43 are headed home.
We'll show you a field summary now, and you might look as we go through this that the car that has made the greatest advance in the first few laps of the race, not surprisingly, is Rusty Wallace, who took the champion's provisional to get in, started in 43rd position, and here in just a moment you're going to see that he has moved up 10 positions already and now runs in 33rd place.
Still got a long ways to go. 33rd to the front is a long ways to go. We see the pace car pulling off the racetrack, which indicates that just in 1 second, Ernie Irvin's going to hit the accelerator and try to run away from this field. And Earnhardt is trying to get by Darrell on the outside.
Green flag comes out. We are back to racing here in Indianapolis. We're riding along with Dale Earnhardt. That's Darrell Waltrip up in front as they enter turn number 1.
Here Earnhardt back off the throttle. Back on the throttle.
Ricky Rudd is right behind Dale Earnhardt, and Mike Skinner is behind Ricky.
We see Wally Dallenbach, the 46 car in 8th spot, started 14th.
You know, Betty, spotters are so important to these drivers. Spotters tell the drivers where there is trouble on the racetrack. This Indianapolis Motor Speedway is so large that you cannot see all around it from any vantage point. So what do the spotters do?
Well, they use 2 spotters or 3 spotters. They'll probably have one in turn 4, one in turn 2, and one on the roof here at the start-finish line. They probably will buy tickets for the spotters high above in the grandstands all around the racetrack.
Earnhardt continues to dog Darrell Waltrip, who's running in 4th position, and Ernie Irvin has once again opened up a bit of an advantage. Jack Arute is with Chad Little.
He hitched a ride in with his wounded race car, the John Deere Pontiac much the worse for wear. What happened to you?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty good. I'm okay. Just, you know, I hate it for all the John Deere people, and of course the MRM team worked so hard to get us in this race and preparing the car. But
what happened though?
I got tagged by the 9 cars. We got into turn 1. It's just, you know, a little early in the race to be that aggressive with the position. It's give and take, and you know, I had position on going down the straightaway, and he tagged me going into turn 1 and caught the left rear bumper, and around I went.
Another early exit from the Brickyard 400.
Referring, of course, to the 9 car driven by Lake Speed, who started back in 27th position. Chad started in 21st. Everybody still in line, BP. We haven't seen a great deal of passing here in the early going. Dale Earnhardt continues to try to get around Darrell Waltrip, but hasn't been able to yet. And Waltrip has told us in the pre-race show that the car is running very strong. Now we have some good battling going on in the back of the field. In fact, they're 3 wide as they come down the backstretch. There's Mark Martin, who's trying to move up. Jeff Burton.
They just went by the 29 car of Jeff Green. Both those cars. There we see Jeff Burton as he goes in the 3rd corner behind Mark Martin. And then he'll come down the front stretch. He and Mark trying to team up and draft together to go by Steve Grissom in the 41 car. And Mark's going to get position, and Burton is going to follow.
Close, tight action down in turn number 1. Grissom has to back out of the throttle, allowing Burton to take the spot away. Rusty Wallace has now moved up 15 spots. Another driver on the move is Bill Elliott, who's earned 5 here in the first 9 laps. There's Rick Mast in car 75. Mark Martin looking to the inside as they hit the end of the back stretch and into turn 3. No change of position there.
Mark decided it was too late to try to make that move, but he is trying to make the move up in the short shoe between 3 and 4. He does. He gets by the 75 of Mast. And here will come Jeff Burton, his teammate.
And Steve Grissom will also try to hook up and go around. Drafting an important factor here on this racetrack, Benny?
Well, they're running, at this point, these cars are running 200 miles per hour. And you know when cars are going that fast, they're breaking a tremendous amount of air. So yes, drafting is very, very important.
We're watching 23rd and 24th position, Mark Martin and Jeff Burton. Just ahead of them is Lake Speed and Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace, we see there in the Square D car, a very, very happy young man when he qualified yesterday for the Brickyard 400.
Let's see who's fastest out there. Ernie Irvin with the fastest lap at the line that time, 171.6. Looks like Bill Elliott maybe with the 2nd fastest speed on the lap, 170.9. And Jack Arute has a report.
Joe Nemechek is beginning to lose ground to the leader, Ernie Irvin. I checked with his crew chief, and the crew says he has developed a real severe push. They're not concerned about it this early, Benny Parsons. They said we can change it with air pressure, and they think the track's going to change a lot during the course of the day.
Unfortunately, the track may get worse. That pushing problem maybe get worse. That's one reason that Ray Evernham and Jeff Gordon are so confident that they're going to be okay in the Brickyard 400 because they brought a car that would turn good, that would not push, that was pretty loose race car because they felt like that's exactly what happened to these cars as the race progressed. They would pick up a push.
The leader has completed 13 laps here. The leader is Ernie Irvin. He's opened up quite an interval between himself and the 2nd place car of Joe Nemechek and the 3rd place car of Dale Jarrett. And once again, Dale Earnhardt is looking for a way around Darrell Waltrip. But Waltrip has good power down the straightaway.
Claude Queen has done a good job with that 17 car, developing the horsepower, but you can see Earnhardt wants by.
It's a 160-lap race here at Indianapolis. The 4th Brickyard 400 will return with more of this event after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Second caution is out on lap number 15. We've had a multi-car tangle over in turn number 2. Serious damage to Michael Waltrip's car.
Yes, we see the right side completely gone. There we see Derek Cope's Skittles Pontiac. There we see Cope standing by the And look at the damage to the right front and the rear of that car.
There were other cars involved and that spun around and received some damage, but those two cars were the one that got the most. Let's take a look at what happened. Now, Cope had just made a pit stop, was coming out of the pits, and heavy contact against the second turn wall.
There we see Bill Elliott's McDonald's car going round. Now, other cars are going to come into the crash, into the accident. There we see Cope already backing in the fence. Elliott goes around, and Michael Waltrip, heavy hits. That's who hit the 36 car in the front. Also, Ted Musgrave, the 16 car spun.
Yeah, Ted Musgrave was involved, so Bill Elliott also spun hard into the wall there on the left rear of the car, and then really heavy contact between Michael Waltrip and Cope.
And Ted Musgrave goes down to the inside. Here's a slow-mo, and Derek Cope is by himself. Wonder, we have no idea what caused the crash. Evidently, I would guess a flat tire or something. There we see Michael Waltrip. Boom! Elliott is still going around. Ted Musgrave comes into the crash. There's also Bobby Hamilton going down. I don't know that Musgrave and Hamilton hit anything. They will have to pit for tires, but I don't think they have any sheet metal damage.
We get into two cars that were very seriously damaged. Derek Cope and Michael Waltrip. Both drivers are okay. Cope is out of his car, and of course Michael did drive his car back to the pit area. But a lot of debris to clean up over there in turn number 2.
There's the damage that Michael Waltrip did with the right side of his car.
So we're slowed once again for the second time. 15 laps have been completed here at the 4th annual Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Still under caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because of a crash out in turn number 2. And covering the race today is the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron. This is the 72nd consecutive year that a Goodyear blimp has covered the nation's top sporting events, including the Brickyard 400. Well, coming up next on ABC Sports, the International Race of Champions from the brand spanking new California Motor Speedway, the third of 4 races. Mark Martin is in the points lead going into this race, but he'll have competition from Robbie Gordon, Al Unser Jr., and others, including Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon, that are racing here with us today. IROC coming up after our coverage of the Brickyard 400. Well, on the rollback is the Skittles Pontiac driven by Derek Cope, as he crashed hard into the second turn wall. And again, he had just come out of the pit area and apparently was still on the warm-up lane when he lost control, slid through the grass, and went to the wall.
And that's exactly right. He was exiting the pits on the pit lane when he came across the grass and back in the fence, and boom, along comes Michael Waltrip, and Michael almost flipped over. And the pits are closed. Now the pits are finally open.
And several cars making pit stops, including Bill Elliott.
And Bob Jenkins, Bill Elliott is in the pits, and what Elliott has said a moment ago was that when the 36 car spun, he went up high and jammed on the brakes trying to miss him, and he got tagged from behind by the 21. But he said the damage doesn't seem that severe. They're going to cut some sheet metal away from the bottom and the back left rear fender on the McDonald's Ford. The rear bumper pushed in slightly. They put the roof flaps back down, and Elliott really said a moment ago on the radio, we dodged the bullet, guys. That could have been a whole lot worse here. As Elliott on pit road for left side tire changes, they're going to tie wrap the left rear fender down. That fender may be flapping a little bit here at the high speeds at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The fender support was actually broken loose as a mostly cosmetic damage on the McDonald's Ford of Bill Elliott. And let's go to Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry, here's the quandary for your lead trio. The Yates team sandwiching, of course, as we've documented before, Joe Nemechek. It seems that the 28 of Ernie Irvan, the 88 of Dale Jarrett, well, they could go as much as 40 laps on a tank of fuel. Tony Glover, in a deep conference with Robert Yates, his competitor, he discovered that point, and now they're trying to decide whether to bring Nemechek in or not. The original theory was to follow the Yates cars, but right now they think they'll have to bring Nemechek in because they can't go that far.
And folks, I was wrong. Pit road is closed. Bill Elliott decided, the crew decided they had enough work to do. They're going to take the penalty that NASCAR is going to give them for pitting with the pit road closed. The penalty, they just go to the end of the longest line. They felt like it was worth it. The green flag signifies now that pit road will be open.
Yeah, Ted Musgrave also decided that it was worth coming in while the pits were closed to get some work done on his car. There you can see the NASCAR official waving the green flag. That's up at the north end of the racetrack at the entrance to pit road, and that indicates that everybody can come in now without penalty.
And Ernie stays out.
Little fake job there.
But Nemechek and Earnhardt will come down pit road. All the cars try to figure, what do I do? What do I do? Rich Bickle decided he's coming down pit road.
Jeremy Mayfield almost ran into the end of pit road. He couldn't decide whether he wanted to or whether he didn't. And here is Nemechek now and Earnhardt coming down. The speed limit on pit road is 55 miles an hour, and they must stay under that or suffer another penalty.
Now, Nemechek and Earnhardt both come in side by side, almost have a crash as they enter their big pit boxes. Fuel, a short fuel for Joe Nemechek. He's first away, Jerry.
And likewise now for Dale Earnhardt, fuel only. They clean the windshield. He and Nemechek race side by side. Here is Bobby Hamilton and Richard Petty's SVP Pontiac in. They clean the windshield. And Jack, what some of the drivers are complaining about is all that debris dirtied their windshield, and they had some dirt on their grill, which is causing an overheating problem under caution. Hopefully that quick stop rectified those problems. Bob?
So Nemechek and Earnhardt enter the pits in that order, and they come out in that order. Still under caution here at Indianapolis. We're 18 laps into the race. Irvin's still the leader. Monsoon presents Impressions of the Brickyard.
Well, one thing, the surface, they take such good care of this racetrack. It's the smoothest track we run on. It's immaculate all the time. The other thing I like a lot is timing and scoring. I mean, they got scoring pods all the way around this racetrack. It really helps you set your car up. It really shows you where you're off or where you're really making good time.
Jeff Gordon has made a nice advance here in the first 19 laps of the race. He began in 24th and is currently 9th, and he's been saying all weekend how the car was going to race well, and it is.
It certainly is. Again, Ray Evernham, very confident in this car. He said, I knew we wouldn't qualify good, but I didn't think we qualified that bad.
Bill Weber has an update from pit road.
And Bob, talking about the Gordon car, Jeff has told Ray Evernham that the car is good in traffic when he does get out front, and he did say when, not if. He thinks the car is going to be a little bit loose. Now, they do have some minor front-end damage on the DuPont Chevrolet, but Ed Guzzo, the chief mechanic on that car, told me they do not think that's going to be a problem. Jackaroo.
Well, Bill Weber, how about Ernie Irvin? How's his car handling? He radioed to Robert Yates. Hey, guys, I'm lifting early going into the corners, and I'm not using a lot of brakes at all. Jerry?
And Jack, Dale Jarrett's problem is the same thing that Joe Nemechek had at the start of the race. He has a push. The car is pushing in the middle of the corners, and also they're very closely watching their fuel. That's one of the reasons they did not pit. They were 2 laps shy of their window. They wanted to go ahead and stay out. But right now the problem is a push. And Benny Parsons, when you have a push here in Indianapolis, you're going to burn a lot more fuel.
It's a real struggle to get around this racetrack without pushing these 9-degree banks. You really have to have the handling package 100%.
Another driver who has moved up nicely here in the early going is Mark Martin. He started back in 31st position, and he's currently running in 13th. Just about ready to go back to green flag racing as the pace car has its lights out and should be turning left onto pit road. There it is. And the green flag waves. Ernie Irvin slams the accelerator to the floor, and we're back to competition. As the Yates cars, Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett are out front. They finished that way last year, except in reverse order. Jarrett won the race, Irvin finished second. And so once again, the Robert Yates cars are showing strength here at Indianapolis.
It looks like those pit stops, about half the field stopped. Joe Nemechek currently running in 19th spot. Was second place when he went into the pits, so 18 cars stayed on the racetrack.
Jeff Gordon picks up another position in 8th right now. And we have a two-wide racing down the front straightaway. Steve Grissom tried to take a peek to the inside of Kenny Wallace. And this side-by-side racing through the corner, Wally Dallenbach and Joe Nemechek.
And Dallenbach took on tires. He stopped. He took on tires. Nemechek did not. And Dallenbach passed him on the outside.
There has been some new paving put down here in the corners. Good grip through those 9-degree banking turns. Watch Dallenbach. He's going in the corner with every intention of passing the car. He passed Jeff Green on the outside. Wow. Meanwhile, Ward Burton comes to the inside of Kenny Wallace and takes away that position. Now Dallenbach will go to the inside, off the corner and down the straightaway.
See Lake Speed trying to get by Dale Earnhardt. That's Lake Speed, the 9 car, the red vehicle. There he is, alongside Jimmy Spencer.
John Andretti following those cars. That's Jeff Green at the front of this group. Jeff was the fastest second-round qualifier yesterday.
And we see that Dallenbach has broken free and left that group of race cars. All the cars diving down to the inside, making sure that the car behind them does not get position on them going in the corner.
Benny, you talk about Wally Dallenbach taking on tires. Remember, John Barnes of Indy IRL fame and the 500 is a consultant on that team. He came down and saw that Tony Glover and his teammate Joe Nemechek were not going to take tires, and that's when the first union team made the decision to go for tires.
Wow. It looked like that was a very, very good move on Dallenbach's part.
Last lap speed for the leader, 172.107. We're watching Dale Earnhardt now on the back of Kenny Wallace. There is Ricky Craven in that red car. Craven also one of the provisional starters, but he has moved up now and is running in the 28th position.
There's our leaders. We'll check the speeds as the cars come by the line this time. There we see that Ernie Irvin runs 171.841 mile per hour average. And we'll go back to Mark Martin, who's running that fast back in the 11th spot. We'll go back to the 46 car. He's running 170 and a half. It's hard to tell what kind of traffic situation he may be in back there. It looks like the fastest car that lap, Jeff Burton, back in 12th spot.
Mike Skinner leading Kenny Schrader and Jeremy Mayfield, and there is Jeff Gordon, who is running in 8th position now. Skinner is in 5th, Schrader 6th, Mayfield 7th, Gordon is 8th. We jump on board with Jeff Gordon.
I said at the very top of the show, you see Fayetteville, North Carolina, 10,000 bone marrow donors registered this past week in Fayetteville, a new record.
Here's a field summary as we show you where everybody was running the last time they crossed the line. In parentheses on the right, the position in which they started. So Joe Nemechek, who started in 19th position, or started in 2nd position rather, finds himself in 19th, and Earnhardt in 5th at the beginning of the race. Has dropped out of competition, as has Derek Cope because of the accident over in turn number 2.
Also Chad Little and Jeff Purvis, all 4 of those cars out of the race so far here at the Brickyard 400.
And Sterling Marlin was the first to drop out with an engine problem. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
Audio check, 1, 2, 3.
Can't find Bill Weber. He's down there somewhere, but the mic won't work right now. We'll get that fixed very shortly.
Here's the 31 car, Mike Skinner, Kenny Schrader, Jeremy Mayfield. Jeremy Mayfield, the 37 car. If he should win the race today, I met the gentleman down there today. he will win $1 million.
Wow.
Jeremy will only pick up about $600,000. Mr. Miller will win $1 million.
Well, let's see if we can contact Bill Weber again.
Well, Michael Waltrip, your Sitco Ford is badly bruised. You're covered with grass. You mowed the lawn out there, huh? What happened?
Well, after the wreck, I caught on fire and drove through the grass to put it out. The Sitco Ford was making a strong move early. We had moved up toward the top 10. Unfortunately, I think the only thing that's going to help us now is an extra large Band-Aid. She's hurt. She's sore.
How about that 17 car then? We talked about teammates. How about brothers?
Well, I'd love to see him win this race, but I don't know if I can stand that dance again. Hope if you're there and he wins, keep his feet on the ground, would you?
Michael Waltrip able to smile. He's out, but he's pulling for DW.
He's referring to Darrell Waltrip's own version of the Icky Shuffle, and he did it after he won the Daytona 500 a few years ago, and he did it again when he qualified on Thursday.
He did it, and like Michael said, I agree with Michael. And the dance, Darrell.
There is Johnny Benson, along with Mark Martin and Jeff Burton. This is 10th, 11th, and 12th.
The yellow Pennzoil Pontiac led the most laps here last year for the Brickyard 400.
He eventually wound up in 8th position, but for most of the race, Johnny Benson had a very, very good race car. Driver we're watching move up through the standings is Bobby Labonte from 25th to 9th position at the moment.
That's what Bobby Labonte, that green car that just flashed by.
Running right ahead of Johnny Benson.
There's the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. Announced here this week that Tony Stewart will drive the Joe Gibbs car next year on the NASCAR Busch Grand Nationals circuit.
With an eye toward Winston Cup the next year. So Tony Stewart, the IRL standout, is going to make the transition to stock car racing beginning next year. He may also run the IRL races. We'll return with more of the Brickyard 400 after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the near northwest side of the capital city of Indiana. Here's a pretty good little battle going on here. We've got Kenny Schrader and Jeremy Mayfield running nose to tail. That's 6th and 7th. Jeff Gordon is right there behind him.
Yeah, the 8th place vehicle, the 24 car, the rainbow colored vehicle.
Ernie Irvan has led every lap so far. He has a 2.3-second advantage on his teammate Darrell Waltrip, Dale Jarrett, as Darrell Waltrip runs in 3rd position. And Mark Martin has moved up nicely since the start of the race. He was 31st at the beginning, and now is up into the top 10.
Bob Jenkins, watch for Dale Jarrett to lead a lap around lap 40. Why? Because his teammate Ernie Irvan is scheduled to pit. They will not bring his teammate Jarrett on the pit road at the same time because they want Jarrett to get a bonus points for leading one lap here.
Dale Jarrett is in the battle for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. He is 152 points behind the leader in the Winston Cup standings. That, of course, is Jeff Gordon.
There's a battle for 19th and 20th. Joe Nemechek, outside pole sitter, running 19th. Dale Earnhardt running 20th. No, folks, they did not fade back there. They made a pit stop just a few laps ago. Something these leaders are going to have to do pretty doggone quick. We talked about a fuel window being from 38 to 42 laps. So far, we've completed 34 laps.
Jimmy Spencer and Terry Labonte are also running in this group of cars with Nemechek and Dale Earnhardt. We're on board with Earnhardt. He's going to try to make a move down the backstretch. He drops to the inside, and at the end of the backstretch, he takes that position from Nemechek. Let's watch Jimmy Spencer.
Oh, that's going to be close, and Nemechek barely sticks his car between the 23 car and Dale Earnhardt.
In the upper left of your screen at the line, the interval back through the top 15. Be
able to see how far back the
3 car, 20.84 seconds from the leader through the front. From the leader back to Dale Earnhardt. And we see Terry Labonte behind Jimmy Spencer started 38 and is currently running in the 22nd spot.
Another one of the Henry cars that had trouble in qualifying here for the Brickyard 400, but they're not doing bad in the race so far. The other member of the team, of course, is Ricky Craven, who took a provisional and runs 26th in the field right now.
Jimmy Spencer on the inside of Nemechek. Here comes Labonte. Will Kyle Petty be able to get by as well? Looks like he can, yes.
He's going to try to pass in the short chute going into the corner. He passes successfully. Now Lake Speed is right there. And so Joe Nemechek begins to lose positions here. Nemechek on the front row of 5 different Winston Cup races. However, his best finish so far in NASCAR competition was 15th at Dover.
Now we see Mike Skinner coming down pit road, making a pit stop. His teammate Dale Earnhardt stopped on that earlier caution flag. Right side's going on the Lowe's car.
Clearing the debris out in front of the radiator, making sure that there's plenty of air that can get to the radiator.
So we can see what the strategy is going to be. A lot of 2-tire changes today. Be very, very few 4-tire stops.
Martin and Burton once again.
And Benny, when one of the top runners comes on a pit road, you know all of the crews strain their necks along these long pit walls to see exactly what was happening. That was the case here all up and down pit road. If Skinner was one of the first of the front runners to come in under green flag conditions. When they saw those 2 tires go on, it confirmed what their tactics should be in this first series of stops.
Kenny Wallace was just in the 81 car, 2-tire stop. He's back on the speedway.
We're nearing the 40-lap mark. 38 are complete, with Ernie Irvan continuing to lead over his teammate Dale Jarrett. And now we see Jeremy Mayfield making a pit stop. And Darrell Waltrip.
And Bob Jenkins, Darrell Waltrip is also coming down pit road. It's a scheduled stop. They wanted to try to go to lap 42. They were concerned about the fuel mileage. And now the Parts America Chevrolet comes in as Jeff Hammond and the crew scamper across. Just take some tape off the front wheel there. They're taking tape off the front right there. The water temperature running a little bit hot. Also, Darrell complained of a push in the middle of the corner. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right side. They cleaned the windshield. Only 2 tires, as we had predicted, and DW is down and away.
Had some trouble with that right front on that car. Slow stop for Darrell Waltrip. Crew will go back across the wall. They'll check the tape and say, guys, we've got to do better than that.
Jeremy Mayfield rolling out of the pits just behind Darrell Waltrip. 2-tire stop, 15.1 seconds. There is Ernie Irvan as he continues to lead this race. But, Benny, it can't be long before he'll be in.
He might be coming in this time. NASCAR cars do not have to use that pit entry. They can dive off the racetrack in turn 4, go to the pits. But he did not.
Well, he's over on the backstretch right now, headed for turn number 3. He's got Waltrip and Mayfield just ahead of him, the drivers that made a pit stop a moment ago. Now we'll begin to see if Ernie is going to make a move toward pit road.
Mark Martin and Jeff Burton, we watched them a moment ago. They have made their pit stop.
Yes, he is.
And here comes Ernie Irvan. As Burton and Martin leave the pits, here comes Ernie in the pits along with his teammate. Jerry did not stay out and lead the 5, get the 5 bonus points.
That is right. They didn't do what they said they were going to do as both the Robert Yates cars come in, Irvan and Jarrett.
That should tell you that maybe they're running the fuel window just a little too close. Ernie Irvan comes to the point. Dale Jarrett is already there. Now, Irvan has led all of the laps. He said the car works beautifully in turns 3 and 4. Going into turn 1, it's a little loose. Coming out of turn 2, it's got a little bit of a push. And whoa, Irvan's going to go for 4 tires. Ernie Irvan rolling the dice, taking the extra 4 or 5 seconds that it takes. But remember, now you can put all 22 gallons of fuel in, and he's away in front, 19.8 in front of his teammate Dale Jarrett.
And Jackaroo, Dale Jarrett did exactly the same thing. They made air pressure adjustments in the right front and left front, but all 4 tires being put on
Quality Care Ford.
And now Jeff Gordon brings his DuPont Chevy down pit road. He's been battling a terribly handling car. It's been very loose, pushing on the racetrack. When he gets behind traffic, when he gets out front, he's got a problem. They talked about taking 2, now they're going to take 4 tires. The right side tires will go on first. It's going to put enough fuel in to top off the car. Right side's going on. Now they'll swing around to the left side, a little slow on the right rear. Lug nuts are off on the left front, now working on the left rear. Clean the windshield, the front of the car that might have been damaged earlier was fine. Gordon's away in 18 seconds.
Wow. Great pit stop. We see the 41 car right. The tire went across the racetrack. They've chased it down, and here goes Ernie Irvin back on the track. Around the racetrack, I should say, as Jeff Gordon exits the pits.
Johnny Benson led lap number 41, and so he begins to add to the total number of laps that he's led here at Indianapolis. That, of course, when Ernie Irvin and most of the others running in the top 5 came in for a pit stop. Jeff Gordon now is being given credit for leading a lap, and that means that he's led at least 1 lap in all 4. Benson relinquishes the lead to come in for his scheduled pit stop. Going to work on the right side of the car. Fuel being put in, adjustment being made on the rear, and a 2-tire stop for Johnny Benson, and the Pennzoil Pontiac rolls down pit road once again.
Must be great to have the luxury that the Yates team had. The cars out front, so far they're able to change 2 tires. All the other cars having to change 2 just to try to keep up.
Is now in 2nd position. Jimmy Spencer is 3rd, and the 44 car of Kyle Petty is in 4th position.
The 46 car is now the leader of the race, Wally Dallenbach.
And Wally was one of those who made the pit stop early.
And changed tires. These cars did not change tires, fuel only. And there we see Dallenbach as he is trying to put the 29 car, Jeff Green, a lap down.
And he has about a 4.5-second advantage, Dallenbach does, on the 2nd place car of Dale Earnhardt. So Wally Dallenbach, whose father raced here at Indianapolis 13 times, is leading the Brickyard 400.
Brad Knopfsinger, the crew chief on this car, the sprint car racer from out California, said he's doing this till he gets him a good ride.
There you saw the average speed of the race, above 120 miles an hour, reduced because of 2 cautions that we have experienced so far. Crashes involving Chad Little, Derek Cope, Michael Waltrip, and others.
See that Kyle Petty's been able to get by Jimmy Spencer and close in right on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt. So Kyle Petty, great run today. Anytime you run on the white line on the bottom of the racetrack, Kyle Petty will run great.
We talked to the Agajanians in our free-race show over on ESPN. You're talking about Brad Knopfsinger. He used to drive for Agajanian. He was driving the sprint cars. Looking back from Dale Earnhardt's car, back to Kyle Petty.
Guys, you may wonder when Dale Earnhardt will pit. Remember, they pitted early under that caution. And I was just checking with Larry McReynolds, and he said, you know, we took almost a full tank, a full can. That means 11 gallons. So they could probably go more than the 10 laps they consumed before they came into pit road in that early stop.
This is the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Wally Dallenbach is the leader of the race.
Earnhardt 2nd, followed closely by Kyle Petty. Jimmy Spencer, there he is in 4th position, and Terry Labonte is running 5th at the moment. Now here is Petty trying to take that position from Earnhardt and getting the job done.
Kyle Petty, a Hot Wheels Pontiac, moving into the 2nd spot.
And Kyle Petty's best finishes here in the Brickyard 400. He's finished 25th on 2 different occasions, the first and second races last year. He wound up in 37th, but he's got a good run going here in the first 46 laps of this race. Kyle Petty is in second as Dallenbach continues to lead by about 5.5 seconds.
You've heard people use the comment, he knocked the wall down. Well, last year in the Brickyard 400,
yes,
Kyle Petty literally tried to knock the wall down.
Heavy contact with the wall up in turn number 4. 46 laps have been completed. The race is 160 laps long. They're the top 5 in the 4th annual Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis.
The Brickyard 400 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. And Monsoon, power, attitude, audio for the road.
Welcome back to the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 50 laps now completed. Dale Earnhardt was running second a while ago, and he's dropped back to 4th as Jimmy Spencer, in addition to Kyle Petty, has gotten around him, and now Terry Labonte is charging ahead.
Jimmy Spencer passed Earnhardt on the front stretch, and we can see by the back stretch he had been able to put about 4 or 5 car lengths on the Goodwrench Chevrolet.
Well, some of the stories that we talked about as we went on the air today, Dale Earnhardt's winless streak at 45. Can he pull off a victory here today? He's running 4th. About Terry Labonte, who had a miserable qualifying session, but he has moved up to 5th position. Jeff Gordon also not a good qualifier here, but he has already led a lap. He just made a pit stop and is being shown back in 26th position. Rusty Wallace took the champion's provisional, started dead last on the field. He's already up to 13th position. Rusty Wallace is running well.
Bill Elliott was involved in that crash with Derek Cope over there. He is now running in 11th spot. There we see Bill Elliott following Ricky Craven, Joe Nemechek. There's Rich Bickle and Rusty Wallace.
There he is, right in front of Rick Mast. Let's jump on board with Rick Bickle and take a lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And while we do that, I think Terry Labonte probably is the guy who has made the greatest advancement so far. He's up 33 positions.
All right, Bickle, just see if you can close in on the back of that McDonald's Ford. Just keep going, keep going. When he backs off, just keep the accelerator down. Don't back off. Oh, you backed off.
Easy for you to say up here in the booth.
Exactly, I'm up here. Looks like Bickle is gaining on this group of cars.
Rich has already competed twice here at the Brickyard 400. He started 19th, finished 29th in the first year of 94. Last year he started, rather 2 years ago, he started 36th and finished 36th. He did not compete last year. Ricky Craven in the 25 car goes to the inside and takes the spot away from Joe Nemechek. Now here comes Bill Elliott.
Elliott trying to dive to the inside. He does. Bickle will do it as well. Nemechek, since he's on the bottom of the racetrack, top of the racetrack, has no choice to stay there and let these cars go by.
Joe Nemechek, who started on the front row for today's race, now has dropped back to the 13th position.
One reason that the 42 car Nemechek, I started to say, one reason he slowed down was because he took some gear out of the car this morning, not turning as many RPMs as he did before, but they took the same amount of gear out of the 46 car, and he's flying.
Well, Benny, you're talking about Joe Nemechek. He's going to make his presence known on pit road in just 1 lap. Remember, they're out of sequence as well from some of the front runners, so Nemechek has gotten a little bit more mileage, but he's going to have to make a green flag stop as well.
So we'll watch for that in very short order. Ricky Craven, another one of our stories. He had a bad qualifying session, but he is now up to 9th position. So Ricky Craven, as you can see there on your scoring pylon, is in 9th, and this is the battle for 9th position as Elliott is in 10th.
Well, Rusty Wallace has had a good run going. He pitted on lap 18, so he was out of sequence. That's one way he was able to work his way to the front. The right side tires and a wedge adjustment on the right side. Now they'll come around and do left sides and do fuel. So Wallace in on lap 18. but he loses all that track position he picked up by pitting earlier in the race.
In the meantime, Bill Weber, Joe Nemechek has come on to pit road. They're going to take right side tires only and then run it as hard as they can. It's a green flag stop, so they're going to short stop it with only right sides.
So Nemechek has run 54 laps and still has the same left sides he started the race on. Did not put any tires on his first stop, and now only right sides.
Kyle Petty has pulled into the pits for a stop.
The guy that was running in second spot is in the pits. Bill Elliott's coming in the pit road.
So all these drivers are off sequence with those running at the front of the field. Elliott's crew goes to work on the right side. Let's see if this will be a 2-tire or a 4-tire change. It appears to be just a 2. They're waiting for the fuel to go in, and there goes Bill Elliott.
As Bill Elliott goes away, we've caught up with the crew chief, Tony Glover, with Joe Nemechek. Hey, 50-plus laps on those left side tires. Wally Dallenbach has taken over the lead. Why the choice not to go for 2 and not 4?
Because right now the race car is extremely tight. We need to figure out a way to loosen it up. We thought 2 tires would help us. Also get a quicker pit stop.
Let's go back up to Bob.
Wally Dallenbach is in the pits. He relinquishes the lead and comes in for another stop.
Wally Dallenbach, Bob, here for a change of only 2 right side tires. He pitted on lap 21 for 2 tires of fuel only. And Wally had complained that the car was a little bit tight coming off. They decided to go ahead and keep the same left side tires on. And so now for 55 laps, over 100 miles, they have the same left side tires they started with.
In our ESPN pregame show, I talked about the drivers and crews being pumped up. I looked down at the 46 pit after that pit stop. You should have seen the high fives. They were, man, we had a great stop. Look at Earnhardt sliding the tires, trying to get to pit road. Jimmy Spencer in his way. Slowed him down a little bit.
Got to get it down to 55 miles an hour, and Dale Earnhardt comes down as Jimmy Spencer has already pulled into his pit stall. Several other cars are also on pit road. We ride with Dale as he comes down. His pit is down toward turn number 1. It's a long, long way down here. Now he finds it.
Dale Earnhardt goes to work with the Goodwrench crew. Now let's see, they're going to, it looks like, yeah, they're definitely going to take 4 tires all the way around. 2 full tanks of gas. This is a ballet in motion. If the crew comes around, only 2 air wrenches allowed in NASCAR. They continue to do the work as the clock continues to tick. This is real estate being gobbled up on the racetrack, but he's off and away. He's looking very racy as he comes close to John Andretti.
Andretti pulling out just ahead of Earnhardt as both of them stay in the warm-up lane and go back on the track. Here's Terry Labonte. Bill?
The reigning Winston Cup champion slides his Chevy to a stop very close to the turn 4 into pit road. Crew chief Gary Gehart held up 4 fingers. His team will change 4 tires. Right sides are on. Now around to the left side. Labonte another one that pitted out of sequence. That's how he gained his track position, cleaning the grill. A lot of rubber and debris that he's collected along the race. Clean that off. There's plenty of air getting to the engine. Labonte is away, heading back into the race.
Did you see all the rubber and asphalt that came off the nose of Terry Labonte's car? Look at that lid on pit road where they scraped it off with the broom. That will make the car overheat. If it gets too plugged up, the car not getting enough air through the grill to the radiator will overheat. That's one reason they brush all it off on these pit stops.
Labonte goes back in the race.
He did lead a lap.
And Ricky Craven now comes in. He was being shown as the leader of the race, but he gives it up quickly to come in for his stop, and that's going to put Dale Jarrett at the top of the standings.
There we see the brush cleaning off the nose, making sure to get it as clean as they possibly can.
Work is done. Ricky Craven smokes the tires, stands on the accelerator, and heads down pit road, ready to go onto the racetrack once again.
So Terry Labonte, trying to win a 2nd championship in a row, did in fact lead a lap just a couple of laps ago, got those 5 bonus points.
So the lead belongs to Dale Jarrett, but there you can see that his lead over his teammate Ernie Irvin is not that much. It's a matter of car lengths. Jarrett and Irvin running first and second at the Brickyard once again this year, and we're at the end of 58 laps, just 102 left to go in this year's race at Indianapolis. We'll be back with more from the Brickyard 400 right after these messages. Don't forget our in-depth coverage of today's race. You can see it by signing on to ABC Sports on America Online. The keyword is ABC Sports. Well, Monday at 8 o'clock, 5 Pacific time, we have a live preseason football game. The Dolphins and the Denver Broncos fly from Mexico City. Miami finished the season 8-8. Jimmy Johnson beginning his second year as head coach of the Dolphins. Denver is led by quarterback John Elway. They finished 13-3 on the season last year. Preseason football Monday night. There's the interval between first and second. Dale Jarrett leading Ernie Irvin by just a matter of car lengths. Jeff Gordon is running in third position. Jeff Burton is fourth. And Mark Martin is fifth at the end of 62 laps.
And Bob Jenkins, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, Ray Evernham, is talking him all the way around the racetrack. And he just told Gordon, you are faster without the help of the draft than the first and second place cars. Then he finally said, just keep digging.
We'll check the speeds at the line for you. Benny Rusty Wallace is running there right behind Jarrett, but he is trying to get a lap back.
He is, in fact, a lap down to the leaders. Let's see how fast that Dale Jarrett is running as he goes by. Here comes the third place car of Jeff Gordon. 169.5 for both the 88 and 28. Let's see if the 20. Yes, he is.
Yes.
Jeff Gordon, in fact, is running faster than the first two cars. So is the 99 car of Jeff Burton.
The third place car of Jeff Gordon, who has already led a lap today and picked up one of the bonus points. Now, we have had 8 different leaders and 7 lead changes in the race so far, with 63 laps completed. Dale Jarrett has led an amazing number of laps in NASCAR Winston Cup competition so far this year. In fact, 1,334 laps on the super speedways. That includes tracks of a mile or larger. Wow. Second on that list is Jeff Gordon, but look how much of an advantage that Jarrett has on Gordon in that statistic.
Almost 1,000 laps more than Jeff Gordon.
On Dale Jarrett's last pit stop on lap 40, they made a very, very minor adjustment. In fact, it was a half a pound of air in 2 of the 4 tires. That's all it took. And Jarrett had a push prior to coming in. He just told Todd Parrott that the car is absolutely perfect right now. So that minimal adjustment had a huge impact on Dale Jarrett's quality care forward. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
Well, Dr. Punch, we talked about teammates before this race began, and 2 of the Roush teammates are running extremely well. That'd be Jeff Burton in 4th and Mark Martin in 5th. Mark Martin might be running even better, except when he came in on his last pit stop and got 4 tires, his team loosened him up because that's what he wanted. But they made him too loose, and he's having a small handling problem. They did take 4 tires. They will probably take 4 when they pit again in about 16 laps. As for Jeff Burton, his car is a little tight. He's also doing in that same window with his teammate Mark Martin. They're going to try and loosen him up a little bit. Jeff Burton driving around the track. You ride along with him. His car is a little tight. They'll try and correct that with either a chassis adjustment or by air pressure when they stop in about 15 laps.
Jeff Burton won races this year in Texas and in New Hampshire and currently runs in 4th position here this afternoon.
Follow his hands as he goes down the front stretch by the pits. I'm sure he's talking to the crew, communicating what's wrong with the car.
Jeff has also had 8 top 10 finishes in the last 10 races. Here's another field summary for you. Look for your favorite driver, and remember the numbers on the right are starting positions.
4 car is running 53.05, 53.10 behind.
That's Todd Parrott telling Dale Jarrett he ran 52.85, and that Jeff Gordon ran 53.05. So he was, in fact, faster than Jeff Gordon that last lap.
There is Jarrett and the advantage he has over Irvin. They pass the slower car of Brett Bodine down this front straightaway here at Indianapolis. 32 cars remain on the lead lap. Rusty Wallace is a lap behind. He's following the second place car, trying to get the lap back. Once again, the Robert Yates cars are showing pretty good effort here.
Ernie Irvin just radioed his crew a moment ago and said he may be having a fuel pressure problem, so have to check that out, and he might hit in 10 laps.
Ernie Irvin talked about that fuel pressure problem when Robert Yates radioed back to him, as he said, look, don't worry about it right now. It was just a slight flutter. Ernie checked it, and it seemed to have gone away, but you're right. They're going to come in 10 laps. They've got a little bit of a push when he's out front. So they don't know whether they want to change the adjustment on the car, so they said, let's just try some new tires and see how it's going. And now Irvin is radioed in. The fuel pressure is plummeting. It's down to 3 1/4, Benny.
The right front tire is flat on Kenny Schrader's car. You see it coming in the pits. Off this deck. There was some communication from Ernie Irvin to his crew. Crew changes the right front on Schrader's car. The jack is down. Away he goes. Full of fuel.
Schrader was running in 29th position when he came in for the pit stop.
They evidently ran over debris on the racetrack, which punctured the tire.
Dale Jarrett lengthens his lead a little bit on his teammate Ernie Irvin to about 3/4 of a second, and then it's almost 7.5 seconds back to the third place, Jeff Gordon.
Benny Parsons, let me tell you what Ernie Irvin is describing in terms of the fuel pressure. He says the fuel pressure is fine in the corners. As he exits the corner and starts down the straightaway, it drops from about 5.5 to 3. Any idea what that might mean?
It sounds like the pickup in the tank is off. In the corner, the gas is going off to the right side of the tank. The pickup it's working. But as he gets on the straightaway and the fuel is going back towards the center of the tank, it sounds like it's getting away from the pickup.
Well, that makes sense, too, because they're running the fuel load down. He should be coming in about 8 laps. Maybe that's why Robert Yates doesn't seem all that concerned right now.
Ernie Irvin won the race in Michigan this year. He started from the pole position here, the 18th of his career. He's second right now to Dale Jarrett. We'll return with more of the Brickyard 400 after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Brickyard 400 is 73 laps old, and the leader of the race is Dale Jarrett. His teammate Ernie Irvin runs in second position. That's how close they are.
They're 0.6 of a second apart, and no, Dale Jarrett is not having a mechanical problem. Traffic. We see Joe Nemechek outside pole sitter now a lap down. They're having trouble when they're catching these lap cars. It's slowing the leader down.
27 cars are on the lead lap. Nemechek has just gone a lap down. So did David Green. So did Ricky Craven, and Rusty Wallace remains a lap down in the 31st position.
As a matter of fact, I talked about the traffic. The lap before this, Jeff Gordon ran 170 mile per hour average around the racetrack. This last lap, 166.8 miles per hour because of the traffic.
And Jeff Burton was catching him at 0.2 of a second a lap, Benny, but he got caught in that same traffic. So Burton was closing in on him, got caught in that same traffic, fell off the pace a little bit. Look for Jeff Burton to stay out after the leader's pit. He's currently running in the top 5. He wants to pick up 5 bonus points. They're going to go with 4 tires. They've observed other cars. They don't think 2 tires are the way to go. So he wants 5 points, 4 tires, and a quick stop.
And Jack, the Yates teammates pitted together on lap 40, and what we're being told is they may pit together again on lap number 77, just 3 laps from now. In order to make it on one more stop, they would have to go to lap 80, and we could make their final pit stop on lap 120. Neither one, by virtue of what you were talking about with that fuel pressure, can make it past lap 79. So expect Jarrett and Irvin coming in 2 more laps.
Well, show you the interval between the cars. It's 0.7 of a second separating first and second. Then it's almost 7 seconds back to Jeff Gordon, who's running third, and almost 9 to Jeff Burton, who is in fourth spot. There you can see that Mark Martin, car 6, is running in fifth position, 13.44 seconds back.
88, you got a copy? 10-4.
Then we heard the spotter tell Ernie Irvin, pit with the 88. Did you hear me? Ernie said, yes, I did. I will pit with the 88 car.
They're talking about a caution.
They're talking about a caution flag.
They got some debris in turn 1. But you see anything up that way? No.
Now he's talking to the spotter that's located down in turn number 1, asking him if he could see any debris down there that might bring the caution out.
There's a possibility he'll be sitting next time by. Yeah, 10-4. He's coming this time, Ernie. Try to close up on his bumper when he comes.
That was Mark Reno telling Ernie Irvin that Dale Jarrett is pitted next time
by. 4 tires, guys. 4 tires. 4,300 second gear. 4,300 second gear.
That's 55 miles per hour. 4,300.
Good cold drink.
Jarrett now is in the short chute to the north end of the racetrack. He'll come off quarter number 4 and turn to the left to enter pit road. Or does he? He didn't come in. After all that, and then he didn't come in.
And Bob, that was actually Dale Jarrett's fault. Dale heard they were talking about a caution flag, so he decided to stay out and see if indeed the yellow flag did come out. The crew was here, though, waiting on him to come down pit road. And if we don't get yellow, Jarrett will come next time by.
And that cost Ernie Irvin 2 seconds.
Yep.
Because he had backed off to come on the pit road, and Dale Jarrett did come on the pit road, went around the racetrack. Ernie lost 2 seconds.
Y'all clear behind you. 4,300 second gear.
Well, a yellow flag here would be devastating to somebody who is caught in the pit area. They can lose a lap easily. Now here comes Jarrett. He's finally decided to come in, and Ernie Irving's right behind him.
Pit road speed.
And Bob Jenkins, Dale Jarrett will make a slight adjustment on the track bar, a half a round up on the right side of the track bar. Expect 4 tires. Remember everyone else changing too that first stop? It was Jarrett and Todd Parrott that wanted 4 Goodyear Eagles on his Ford Thunderbird. Here is Jarrett, our leader, coming to a halt. The defending winner off the Brickyard 400. They put the wrench in the right side window. Now a half a round up on the track bar. First can of gasoline in. The windshield being cleaned. Now left side tires going on. So now the second pit stop for the day. Dale Jarrett will get left side tires. He is down and away. Headed for turn 1. Let's go to Jackaroos.
Let me interrupt you for a moment. A miscue on Ernie Irvin's crew. They thought he was going to only take 2. They being Ernie Irvin. They were ready to take 4. And Ernie began to pull away, and it already had the lugs loose on the left-hand side. This was a miscue. And of course, you can hear Ernie Irvin.
I'm sorry, I'll double check a couple times.
He is hot. He's talking to Mark Reno because Ernie Irvin thought that they were only going to take 2 tires. He began to pull away. A not so nice stop for the Texaco team.
Benny, we heard very clearly not too many laps ago. You take 4 tires, Ernie, on that pit stop.
Well, that's exactly right. As he gets back on the racetrack, that's Rick Wilson in the 27 car.
And showing sponsorship from our hometown NFL team, the Indianapolis Colts.
Who won last night, I think.
Yep. We will be halfway next time. Jeff Gordon is the leader of the race right now, since both Jarrett and Irvin have come in for their pit stops.
You asked me about changing 2 tires. I said, that'd be fine.
So he and Mark Reno right now trying to...
Just calm down. Everything's okay.
Now they're trying to get your pace back. That's exactly right. Now's not the time to worry about, we made a mistake. Let's just get this thing sorted out. And there's the lead of the race. Jeff Burton has made a pit stop. He wants to stay in front of that 24 car in case the caution flag should come out.
Yeah, Jeff Burton is brought back to 19th position here on the pit stop, and he is in danger of going a lap down. But remember, he's got the fresh tires, and Jeff Gordon behind him has the older tires.
coming in the pits. Car running in the 8th spot currently.
Looking back to, yes, Jeff Gordon, we see from the onboard camera of Jeff Burton, is coming in for his pit stop here at the halfway mark. We're exactly halfway through the Brickyard 400, and Gordon's on pit road.
Jeff Gordon looking for his second win in the Brickyard 400. Wants to be the first guy to win it twice. No adjustments here. He's loose in 3 and 4 and tight in 1 and 2. So the driver will make the adjustments. He'll do that with 4 new tires. Right sides are on, left sides are going on. Fuel is going in. These look to be sticker tires for the DuPont Chevrolet. Cleaning that windshield, clean off the grill, fuel is in. Gordon gets back in the race. Wow. 17.4 seconds for the Rainbow Warriors.
What a great pit stop. Those guys pulled off that time.
A good run, or good pit stop for Jeff Gordon as he moves down pit road onto the racetrack, and there are the Rainbow Warriors.
There's Ray Evernham talking to his driver.
That gives the lead to Johnny Benson. Benson has already led 2 laps here today, and because of the pit stops, he goes in front once again. And we understand that Johnny Benson is now entering pit road. There he is, and Dr. Punch will call the stop.
Well, the young man who led the bulk of this race a year ago, Johnny Benson, the Pennzoil Pontiac driver, led 70 laps, hoping to be able to maybe take this car to victory lane for the first time for car owner Chuck Ryder. They will put on 4 tires and make a track bar adjustment, very similar to what happened with Dale Jarrett, except they're going to go down with the track bar. As they're watching some smoke on the racetrack, we may get a caution flag. Smoke from one car, and yes, indeed, the caution flag does come out. Indianapolis Motor Speedway has Benson's car fall off the left side jack. They cannot get it jacked up. Now they finally get the car jacked up as the yellow is out, and now they'll take a rubber out of the left rear and change left side tires. But they will be slowing the field now behind the caution car.
Oh, you can see the disappointment on the face of some of the crew members as he's slowly out of the pits, and this is the reason for the caution. Terry Labonte with a huge amount of smoke out of the back end of that car.
Down the front stretch, I saw Jeff Andrews, the engine builder for that 5 car this morning, said, "How you doing?" He said, "Man, I'm doing great." Jeff, I'm sorry you're not doing so good right now. I know he's disappointed.
Jimmy Spencer is the leader of the race, and he's now going to be able to make his pit stop under caution. Wow. Here's the race recap. Jeff Gordon was the leader until he came in for the stop just moments ago. It led 4 of the 80 laps. We've had 8 lead changes, 2 cautions. Now this is the 3rd that is out, and the average speed is a 139.531 miles an hour. So the pace car out onto the track now for the 3rd time this afternoon. There you see the cars that have dropped out of the race, all because of damage suffered in crashes in the early going. And the lap leaders, these drivers have picked up bonus points for leading at least 1 lap here this afternoon. Well, if you wonder what a blimp turns into at Miller time, here is the answer. An airplane called the Miller Eagle. It's the most unusual eye in the sky on sports television, and it's been providing us some great shots here this afternoon. We'll take a break and be right back to Indianapolis. Back under caution at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 3rd of the day. We had a blown engine down in turn number 1 involving Terry Labonte. That brought out the caution, and so we will line up for a restart. Well, Thursday, August 14th, ABC Sports will broadcast Holyfield versus Tyson 2, one of the most talked about heavyweight championship fights ever. Yes, it's the one in which Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear. Witness the melee that ensued after referee Mills Lane decided to disqualify Mike Tyson. It's on ABC Sports Thursday, August the 14th. The Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron is one of 3 domestic airships owned by Goodyear, and the 205-foot-long Spirit is the longest in the world. It's flying above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today, providing shots of this greatest race course in the world. This is the Monte Carlo pace car, and the onboard camera
camera. There's Buster Otten, the pace car driver. His brother Wayne Otten is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series director.
We'll take another quick break while we are under caution here. Wally Dallenbach is the leader at Indy. Chevrolet presents Impressions of the Brickyard.
Well, I think for each one of us, there are different things that make it so great. You know, some guys, and most guys in our sport, grew up maybe watching the Indianapolis 500 on TV because they were probably racing somewhere else. Me, I actually got to experience coming here and watching this race and being a part of the month of May, and of course racing all around Indiana, every place but the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I think when you're a race car driver around Indiana, your goal is to be right here at the Brickyard. And for that dream and that goal to finally come true, not in an Indy car, but in the inaugural stock car race, I think that was bigger and better than anything.
Back at Indianapolis, the caution remains out. They're getting the racetrack in top condition to go back to racing soon. Let's go down to Jackaroo.
Well, Terry Labonte wanted to know which camera was mine, because if you look around, there's microphones and cameras. Kind of what goes with the territory when you're defending Winston Cup champion. What happened?
A tough break for us. I'll tell you what, the guys have done a great job. We had a terrible qualifying run, and that was partly my fault. And, I thought we were going to end up having a good finish. The car was working good, and it coming down the front straightaway, and it broke a rod, I guess. Just got a big hole in the oil pan. And pretty unusual for Hendrick Motorsports to have engine problems. I'll tell you, it's the first time we've had a problem all year. So it's a great team, and we just got to come back tougher.
Terry, tell us about the track conditions, because you can give us an analysis firsthand.
Well, the track's in good shape. It's kind of hard to pass. If your car's working good and you can get up under them coming off the corner, you can get by them, but the track's fine.
How about that Hendrick teammate of yours, Gordon? Boy, I tell you what, he's closing in from that 24th starting spot.
Yeah, he was running good, and I don't know if he's got enough for those two Yates cars, but he'll give him a run for it.
Guys?
Leading the race. I say he's doing pretty well.
I would say he's doing very well.
And he started 24th. And they don't put the number on the side of your car that you start by. He normally runs car number 24.
Well, ESPN will continue with NASCAR Winston Cup coverage. Next Sunday afternoon, we'll be at Watkins Glen, New York, with the Bud at the Glen. Airtime 1 o'clock Eastern next Sunday afternoon. Jerry Punch.
Well, maybe Dale Earnhardt's luck is beginning to change. Let me show you what happened now. This pit stop a moment ago was under the yellow, so if they had a problem, it wasn't a major problem. But the air hose in the left front tire had a hole in it. It ruptured and had a hole. They had to go back and get under the backup air hose. But that wasn't the big break. It was a break. The big break was this. When they came down pit road for the caution flag, the left rear tire was going flat. Had only 13 pounds of air in it. 2 more laps, and Earnhardt could have been in the wall. Bob?
Right now, he is in 23rd position as we remain under caution here at Indianapolis. We'll return with more of the Brickyard 400 after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to Indianapolis. We're just about set to go back to racing. The leader of the race is Jeff Gordon. Jeff Burton is second, followed by Mark Martin, Mike Skinner, and Ricky Rudd. Now, Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvin are shown back in 8th and 9th position. And because of the timing of that most recent caution, we have several cars that are back on the lead lap, including Rusty Wallace, who is in 28th position. And the pace car is just about to exit the track.
And right now, we have 33 cars on the lead lap. And Jeff Gordon, on the outside, the third car back, is the leader of the race.
Now, those 2 cars ahead of Gordon, Green and Grissom, are at the tail end of the lead lap. Hey, look at this. Down into turn 1, they're side by side.
That's Ed Berry in the 95 car. Looks like he's losing some fluid. And here comes Jeff Burton for the lead.
Nope, didn't get it done. He may make a run at Jeff Gordon, though, as they come off the second corner and go down the backstretch. Let's watch him. Burton looks to the inside. He's got some good momentum build up, and Jeff Burton goes into the lead.
Can Jeff Gordon get back down in front of Mark Martin? Yes, he can.
So Gordon holds off Mark Martin. Mark in third. But the leader of the race is Jeff Burton.
And during the last caution period, Jeff Burton's crew talked about trying to get around the race leader so they could get 5 bonus points and for leading the race.
concern with the bonus points because he too is in the thick of the points battle, only 201 behind Jeff Gordon as we entered this event. This is the first time today that Burton has led.
And we see Mark Martin trying to go by Jeff Gordon on the outside. No, that won't work. All these guys, look at Ed Berryard on the bottom of the racetrack. They are 3 abreast now as Steve Grissom hung on the outside. Oh, baby.
Kenny Wallace and Steve Grissom go into the third turn wheel to wheel as you're watching a field summary. Gordon tries to get to the inside of Steve Grissom, but Grissom holds the challenge off.
Now we've got Steve Grissom between the 2 leaders. The 99 car on the left side of the screen, Burton is the leader, and Jeff Gordon's got the world behind him as Skinner's being passed by Bobby Labonte.
Bobby Labonte and Skinner go wheel to wheel into the corner.
This is for Martin almost spins out.
Oh, man, he got up in the loose stuff and was able to hold on. He lost a lot of track position, but he didn't crash, and that's a miracle.
His right front tire might be flat on this car. Looks like he's still not up to speed. Well, okay, he is, but he looks like he is getting up. Is the left rear tire flat on that car? I'm not sure that Mark Martin doesn't have a flat tire. And the 22 car, I saw a puff of smoke out of his car.
He's running in 12th position. That's Ward Burton. Well, Martin appears to be up to speed. Wally Dallenbach and Johnny Benson are right on his rear spoiler.
I guess he's okay.
Boy, what a close call, though. He fell from 3rd to 11th position, as this is what happened when Mark went into turn number 1, the last lap. Boy, this was a close call.
He goes in the corner and looks like the car just gets out from under him, gets loose, and he has to go up the racetrack to catch it. He goes. Finally, before he gets to the wall, he does maintain control. There comes Ernie Irvin trying to wade his way through the... And Rusty Wallace is blown up again, it looks like.
Running 31st, but he's on pit road right now, and there is a lot of smoke coming from the back end of the Miller Lite Ford, and Rusty Wallace is pulling his car behind the wall into Gasoline Alley, and it appears as if it's all over for Rusty Wallace this year. There's first and second. The Jeffs, Burton and Gordon, are 1 and 2.
And a momentary scare a few laps ago when Burton went around the 24 car. They did actually touch. The 24 crew scrambling. Ray Evernham went to watch a television monitor. Then Jeff Gordon told him, "Don't worry, my car's okay."
All these teams have the little dish in their pits. They can watch the race on TV, watch their car going around the racetrack.
That's Jeff Green that's running right ahead of Jeff Burton as Jeff Green tries to stay on the lead lap. He is right now in 32nd position. Now looking back from Jeff Burton to second place Gordon.
The front 2 cars have been able to put a little distance between themselves and Ricky Rudd, who's the 3rd place car. Rudd is mired in some traffic now, some lap cars. And there comes Steve Grissom, trying to stay in front of Ricky Rudd.
Check the speeds at the line. Burton was the fastest that lap by just a little bit over Jeff Gordon.
And the 88 car has not been able to move forward. He is now in 10th place. He was 9th on the restart. He's back to 10th, and Ernie Irvin, the 28 car, has moved to 5th.
And Benny Parsons, Dale Jarrett a moment ago radioed the crew and said, "I think we may have a tire going down." And he said, "It came back. Hold on, guys. I'll let you know next time." They came around another lap, said the right front feels a little bit funny. He said, "It may just be traffic and cars around me that's cutting me to get loose." He said, "But the right front feels a little bit strange." He's going to ride right there for right now, and the crew very carefully watching the 88 car as it comes by.
Jeff Green goes a lap down. Rusty Wallace has finished 4th, 2nd, and 7th here at the Brickyard 400, but not this year. Jack Arute.
Well, as Rusty Wallace came down into the gasoline area, all the way down here to the transporters, a lot of oil, blown motor. Describe the disappointment, Rusty.
Well, there's a lot of disappointment. The whole week has just been a terrible week. I guess it happens every now and then to the best, but we unloaded with our own motor and blew it up before qualifying. We put our own motor in for the race and blew it up halfway through. So lot of engine problems,
How does a driver of your caliber maintain a good frame of mind when you're having the kind of season you've had? Granted, you've got a Richmond win.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know there's a lot of ups and downs, and I just hate to have all the downs coming to one of the biggest races of the year, the Brickyard 400. But we got to go back, get organized, and get this thing straightened out, because this is totally uncalled for, and I know that. And I feel sorry for the sponsors and all the fans that got to endure this pain. Guys?
Well, he told us earlier in the pregame show that his car owner, Roger Penske, is in attendance here at Indianapolis today, and it's certainly hoped that he could see Rusty win another one for him at the Brickyard, but it will not be this year. And Benny, the crew is telling Jeff Burton just to be smooth and to float it into the corners. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, especially when you look in the mirror. I'm telling you, leading the race, a race of this stature is hard, because you look in the mirror and you want to stay in front. You have a tendency to drive the car down in the corner just a little bit too hard to try and stay in front of that car behind you.
Jeff Gordon closes in once again.
Somebody missed the corner there. I don't know who it was, Jeff Gordon or Jeff Burton. That you see in front of those cars is Michael Waltrip.
Waltrip was involved in an accident over in turn number 2 with Derry Cope early in the race, and he is out there once again. He is 65 laps down. He's being passed now by the 2 leaders. That car is an absolute junk pile, but he's still out there making circles.
And Bob Jenkins updating Dale Jarrett's situation once again. The communications between Dale Jarrett and Todd Parrott, and Dale said, I think I may have gotten any oil from Rusty Wallace's engine. That's why the car skated. Then he just came back a moment ago and said, no, Todd, something is definitely wrong. We have a problem with this car number 88. So they're trying to keep Dale at a certain pace and hopefully be able to get a caution flag or get him on pit road to take a look if there is a problem possibly brewing with that right front tire.
He's stalled in 10th position right now, has not moved up from there. We're watching Ernie Irvin with Mike Skinner and Steve Grissom ahead of him, and Ernie has moved up to 5th spot.
Mike Skinner, the 4th place car. You see the pylon on your left side. That is the running order. The top 10 cars.
And just to update again some names that we've been mentioning frequently in this race, Dale Earnhardt, Mike Skinner's teammate, is running in 21st position now.
Bob Jenkins, let's update you. Remember we told you before that last series of pit stops that the fuel pressure was dipping up and down on Ernie Irvin's car? No report of the same sort of situation since they took on fuel. Robert Yates, one guy to be proactive, has already brought out a fuel pump out on the pit road in case, well, just in case.
We'll show you the intervals now as the cars cross the line. We're watching Bobby Labonte and Jimmy Spencer, Kyle Petty,
Jeremy Mayfield, Dale Jarrett. Labonte's able to make that pass on Spencer. Spencer goes to the inside, to the outside. Bobby Labonte says, I just passed you, Jimmy. Let me lead a lap and see what happens.
6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 there. The lead that Burton has over Gordon is a quarter of a second. Just a matter of a few car lengths. And Dale Earnhardt is on pit road. Dale Earnhardt comes down for a pit stop. Jack Aruti's coming toward you.
At 55 miles an hour, you'd think it was a centipede crawling across a giant leaf here on pit road. But Dale Earnhardt goes by, and his team will go to work, led by Larry McReynolds, Richard Childress, high atop, overseeing things with Earnhardt, his #1 driver. His Busch Grand National driver, Steve Bark, is watching as well, as they are going to take 4 tires for the man in black. The Intimidator also taking on as much fuel as possible, and they didn't have to take full 22 gallons.
Dale Earnhardt has not won in 1997. His winless streak dates back to last year. Sterling Marlin has not won so far in 1997. Neither is Jeff Bodine or Terry Labonte or Bobby Hamilton or Bobby Labonte. But Earnhardt's winless streak is now at 45 and counting. And it doesn't appear as if he's going to be a contender for the race this year, but you never know. We've got 60 more laps to go in the 4th Brickyard 400. Back back in Indianapolis, and we're beginning to see some pretty doggone good battles out there on the racetrack. We'll show you a race recap. Jeff Burton is the leader at the moment. He's led 12 of the first 100 laps. We've had 13 lead changes. 3 caution periods have held the average speed down to a little more than 133.5 miles an hour. Those cars that have dropped out of the race, most recently, Rusty Wallace and Terry Labonte have both experienced engine problems, and the other drivers that have dropped out have been because of damage sustained in accidents. No driver injuries, though, in the race. Here are those who have led laps. Ernie Irvan has led the most so far, with Jarrett in second position.
And Terry Labonte did lead a lap today, so he gets those 5 bonus points. Also, Ricky Creighton, 5.
Riding with Rich Bickle.
That's Rich Bickle as he checks the mirrors, trying to get a little air into the helmet. Back to the corner, Rich trying to put 2 hands on the wheel. There you go. Goes to the corner. Then he lets the car come off, up against the wall. Tell you what, he wasn't in that corner long, was he?
No.
I mean, that straightaway. That was a short shoot, obviously. Here's the leader.
There are our first and second, Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon. Running in third position at the moment is Ricky Rudd. Mike Skinner is in fourth, and Ernie Irvan is fifth, followed by Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, Wally Dallenbach, and Mark Martin. So Dallenbach is having a really good run. Now, Dale Earnhardt made a pit stop a few laps ago, and it was not a scheduled one. He had been in 16 laps before that. Jerry, what's going on?
Well, you're right, Bob Jenkins. We showed you that air hose. They went to the air gun that they were doing the pit stop that actually had a break back on lap 83. But when they didn't get the tire tight, they had the air hose fixed, but they thought they had the tire tight. Apparently didn't get it completely tight. It began to vibrate and vibrated loose, and that's why Earnhardt had to come down pit road and make the unscheduled stop to change that right front tire. A tough break for the guy, but wanted his comeback to be a big one here today.
Well, Dale Earnhardt has completed all but 21 miles of a possible 7,433 this year in NASCAR Winston Cup competition.
And there we see Dale Earnhardt currently running in, listen to this, folks, 32nd spot. I'm telling you, you stuck your toe around here and you lose 15, 20 spots.
Well, check out today's race on ABC Sports Online for the latest information on the track. America Online, keyword ABC Sports. Here's Bobby Labonte going to the inside along with Wally Dallenbach. And getting around the 41 car of Steve Grissom, now Mark Martin. I thought he was going to try to make... Oh, and Grissom is loose coming off the corner. He almost crashed.
He almost did. Mark Martin came off the corner, took the air off the rear spoiler in that 41 car, and you're right. Grissom almost lost control.
Mark Martin runs in 10th position. Here comes Jeremy Mayfield. He's in 11th. Dale Earnhardt, as Vinny told you, is back in 31st position, a lap down.
He just passed the 41 car. That was the pass for position.
We'll check the speeds the next time the cars come around and hit the line. They're right now over in the backstretch and at the north end of the racetrack.
And you see, looking at the pylon, that Dale Jarrett in the Ford Quality Care car was back in 10th just a few laps ago, has worked his way back up to 5th spot. So obviously whatever problem he had, 6th spot, I'm sorry, he's been able to adjust his driving line around the racetrack to cure those problems.
Here are the speeds. Well, on that lap, it looked like that Jeff Gordon was just slightly faster than Jeff Burton, although it was real close.
But check out Ricky Rudd in 3rd place, faster than both of those cars.
Jeff Burton might be slowing down just a little bit. This set of tires started out a little tighter than the last set. They only made half of the track bar adjustment they had talked about. When he pits around lap 120, they'll make the other half of the adjustment. Now you gotta watch the 24 pit stop when these stops come in just a few laps. First stop, 17.4. Second stop, 17.8. Why are these guys getting even better? Because last Thursday and Friday, an off weekend, they practiced at 6 a.m. Thursday morning and 6 a.m. Friday morning. Why so early in the morning? Because most of these guys have full-time jobs. They drive a truck for Harris Teeter, a Southeast grocery store chain. One guy drives a truck for United Parcel Service. One guy's a school teacher. 6 a.m. is the only time they could do it, except on Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
But I understand that Jeff Gordon treated members of the Rainbow Warriors to an awesome party at his place a week ago today, so they were rewarded in that sense.
And we can see some damage to the nose of that 24 car. Remember, they scrambled earlier on. One of the crashes coming off the second corner. He made some contact with someone. There is some damage to the front of the car, but obviously not hurting the performance of the Chevrolet.
Just to give you a rundown now concerning the point standings, Mark Martin came into this race only 64 behind Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin is in 9th position at the moment. Terry Labonte is already out of the race because of a blown engine. 4th in the point standings coming in, Dale Jarrett. He's 6th, and 5th in the point standings with Jeff Burton. He's the leader.
Well, you see a field summary where all the cars are running. In parentheses on the right will be the position in which they started.
And if points were awarded right now, Terry Labonte would fall to 5th in the point standings, replaced by Jeff Burton. And also Dale Jarrett would move up one spot to 3rd.
Mike Skinner's on pit road. The Lowe's car. And here goes Gordon for the lead.
Goes to the inside of Jeff Burton off the corner. At the short shoot, he makes the pass, and by the time he gets to turn 4, he's completed successfully the pass, and so put Jeff Gordon back into the lead of the Brickyard 400 with 110 laps completed.
Everybody in the front grandstand, stand up. Salute Gordon as he goes by. They did, every one of them.
He's still got a lot of hometown fans here. It wasn't born here. He was born in Vallejo, California. He doesn't live here, but he claims Pittsboro, Indiana as his hometown, and you can hear the crowd, Benny, as he goes around the racetrack. They're on their feet applauding this young man who won the inaugural event here in 1994. Jack has a report on Ricky Rudd, who's running 3rd.
All that action up front in the battle for 1 and number 2. Ricky Rudd quietly chipping away at it. His crew chief reading off lap after lap, and they're saying that Rudd is about 2/10 quicker than the leaders. It's become a cheering section down here in the Tide pits. They get on the radio lap after lap and say, "You're quicker, you're faster, you're reeling them in."
Well, that was confirmed the last time we checked the speeds of the cars at the line. Ricky Rudd was the fastest. Jerry, what's an update on Dale Jarrett?
Well, you heard Dale Jarrett radio and say he was concerned about the right front tire about 15 laps ago. Now, what Todd Parrott said is Dale ride for about 10 laps. If it doesn't get any worse, then start picking them off one at a time, which is what DJ has done. He has now climbed his way back to 6th spot. A moment ago, Todd Parrott said, Dale, just calm down. Find your rhythm. That lap by, you were 0.5 of a second faster than the leader, Jeff Gordon. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, earlier this afternoon, I rode around this track with Mark Martin at 20 miles an hour. It was in a convertible. He was waving to the fans. Right now, Benny, he's got to be the fastest guy out there. He got down there in the turns. Bobby Labonte got him loose. Mark got up, kept it out of the wall, lost a bunch of spots. He is flying around this track and zooming up through this field. I think he's up to 7th now.
Exactly right, Bill. He is up to 7th.
Mark Martin in 7th position. The leader, Jeff Gordon, with Burton 2nd. Then Rudd, Irvin, and Jarrett at the Brickyard 400. Miller Lite presents Impressions of the Brickyard.
The neatest part about this racetrack is coming down the front straightaway. Man, those fans are on both sides screaming and hollering, and then you go off in turn 1, and it's like you're running 200 and some odd miles per hour, and you got to make that corner. It's pretty hairy. It's like no other racetrack I ever been to.
The Brickyard 400 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Monsoon. Power, attitude, audio for the road. Miller Lite, it reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. And Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Caution is waving for the 4th time here at Indianapolis this afternoon. The pits are open now. The cause of the caution was an accident involving Joe Nemechek. He bumped the wall but has driven back to the pit area. And speaking of the pit area, things get very, very busy now And the question is, we're at 47 laps to go, Benny. Are they going to have to stop again before the end of this race, or can they go from here?
Well, actually, 46 laps from the end right now. I don't know. Some of these cars might be able. I don't think so. 46 laps on a 2.5-mile racetrack. Don't think so. There we see Jeff Burton, the second-place car. Left sides are going on. Barry Muse brings a jack around on Jeff Gordon's car. Left sides are going on. Ricky Rudd just now getting around to his car. Left side's going around. Burt's moving. So is Gordon.
Working, being completed on Ricky Rudd's tied Ford. And they're making sure that they get that grill clean. Now he's moving at 19.7 seconds. So Gordon had the best pit stop.
And we can see that Dale Jarrett had a great pit stop. He will come out about 5th or 6th spot. Ernie Irvin's going to lose a couple of spots when they come out of the pit.
And you can really make up a lot of track position here if you have a good pit stop. Passing so difficult on this racetrack, and everybody's running about the same speed, so you'll want to work extra hard in the pits and try to gain a spot or two coming out.
That's exactly what Bill Weber said on ESPN earlier today. A lot easier to pass on the pit road than it is on the racetrack. There we see Nemechek's car. That was the reason for the caution play.
And Benny, here is the incident that has brought us to caution once again.
Nemechek was in heavy traffic at the time. We see Rich Bickle going through the grass to avoid the 42 car, the Bell South Chevrolet.
That's up in turn number 4. The spin occurred in the short chute, and he hit the wall just entering turn number 4. Got it headed in the right direction and drove it around to the pit area. Here it is once again.
And we can see, there might have been there was some contact between the 27 car, Rick Wilson, and Joe Nemechek. That's what caused Nemechek to spin.
And again, another angle. Makes contact with the front end and then the back end. Spins completely around and gathers it in and then drives it back into the pit area. So Joe Nemechek will have to make some corrections to that car before it's out there, but he will apparently be able to continue in the competition. We'll return with more of the Brickyard 400 after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Next time around, we'll get the green flag and be back to racing. Let's go now to Bill Weber.
Well, Jeff Gordon had told his crew before that pit stop that the car was real good, that he thought Jeff Burton was holding him up on the racetrack. When they came in, they had another great pit stop. In fact, they had a real good pit stop. They had a lot of other people concerned here on pit road that they might be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. They can't. In fact, it's doubtful anybody can. For the 99 car, they had to adjust the track bar. He was a little too tight. Mark Martin was a smidge too tight, wanted to be a little bit looser.
Well, Bill Weber, for third-place runner Ricky Rudd, they're still celebrating about their pit stop. But also behind me, they are trying to work the calculations right now. According to their crew chief and their gas calculator, they are going to be, this is the quote, about that short. They're wishing that maybe they can get an extra half lap. Let's update you as also what happened to Ernie Irvin. Why was it a long stop? They weren't sure until they went back and reviewed their own videotape of the pit stop, and they discovered the jack had slipped. It had to be pumped back up.
And Jack, one driver who wanted to see that caution flag was Dale Jarrett. Very, very worried about that right front tire. And I'm going to tell Dale, as I tell the folks at home, that this is the right front tire that came off that car. They have checked the air pressure, the air temperature, the temperature of the rubber all the way across, and it was just fine. So now Todd Parrott says we've checked all 4 tires. We've made a slight adjustment on the car. The good news is the pit stop was 17.9 seconds. The bad news was they're going to come about 9 laps short of making it to all the way on this last stop. Bob?
Boy, this is going to get good here toward the end, Benny.
Do we have to talk? Can we just
shut up and watch the race, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the situation. Mike Skinner is the leader of the race. Jeff Gordon is second, followed by Jeff Burton, Ricky Rudd, Ward Burton, then Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty, Mark Martin, Jeremy Mayfield, and Jimmy Spencer. Those are the top 10 as we start again to go back to green. The cars lined up on the left are those a lap down, and they include Dale Earnhardt.
And he's alongside his teammate, Mike Skinner. Now, what do you think? Is he going to cut him some slack?
I don't know. Let's see. Mike Skinner, of course, leading the Rookie of the Year point standings in NASCAR Winston Cup competition this year over David Green, Robbie Gordon, and Jeff Green. And here they come down the main straightaway. The green is waving, and we are back to competition, and it certainly looks as if Skinner is going to let his teammate Dale Earnhardt get back into the lead lap, but he also may let a couple of other cars now.
That's the 29 car of Jeff Green. He's going to get by Skinner, hoping to get back in the lead lap. Here comes Steve Grissom. He's going to try. Mike Skinner stopped on lap 109, so he has 8 laps on his tires. The only reason he didn't stop because they all have to stop again anyway. And look here, Jeff Gordon goes by Earnhardt. What kind of problem does Earnhardt have?
Yeah, Earnhardt just didn't come up to speed properly. And so Dale is a lap down. In fact, Earnhardt's coming in. Earnhardt is coming in.
Jenkins, Earnhardt is ready to said he has a tire rubbing, has a right side tire rubbing, and possibly has a right side tire going down. They think it definitely is flat. Now he's saying on the radio, right rear to Larry McReynolds. And unfortunately, Dale Earnhardt will not be able to come back and win the Brickyard 400 now that he's healthy here in 1997.
There was some damage. There was some contact with the 23 car of Jimmy Spencer. And Spencer has some damage to the nose of his car.
So Mike Skinner continues to lead, and now he's going to try to put Green a lap down. He let him by there at the start of the race, as he also did Earnhardt, but now he passes him, and Jeff Green goes a lap down once again.
And here comes Jeff Gordon. He closes up on the back bumper of Jeff Green, tries to get alongside, can't quite make it.
Winning in your rookie year in NASCAR Winston Cup competition is not all that common. Davey Allison won twice in 1987, 10 years ago, when he won Rookie of the Year. Gordon gets past Jeff Green.
We bring that up because Mike Skinner is now a rookie.
And here is Jeff Burton now to the inside of Steve Grissom. And now there is one car between second and third position.
See, Jeff, the 88 car, Dale Jarrett, has been able to get by Ward Burton. He's now in 5th place. There's a 4th place car, Ricky Rudd, the orange car in the middle. There's 1 and 2. Mike Skinner, the 31 car. Lowe's Chevrolet. The DuPont Chevrolet, Jeff Gordon in 2nd spot.
Skinner looking for his first NASCAR Winston Cup win, and Jeff Gordon looking for the opportunity to be the first 2-time winner here of this stock car race at Indy.
And looked like Jeff took a look, couldn't quite make it.
We have Chevys running first and second, and then we have 3 Fords on board with Jeff Gordon, and Wally Dallenbach, who ran so well for more than the first half of this race, is in the pit area. They raised the hood on the car when he came in earlier, and now he's back in.
Well, Bob, apparently they have a mess in the engine. They came in, and now Dallenbach shuts it off and will pull the window net down. A tough break for the second-generation driver. And now the crew members talking to Wally said it began to sputter and miss, but now he's just on pit road.
Battle for the lead goes on. There we see Jeff Burton has moved by Steve. Ooh, Jeff Burton almost. Oh, that was close. He tried to get under Skinner, almost lost control. Coming off turn 1 as he headed toward the second turn. Boy, Jeff Gordon is well missed, baby, isn't he?
I'm telling you, he is. They're down the backstretch, and Gordon will make no attempt to take the lead right now. But boy, that was close. He almost had it. Look at him close up on Skinner in the corner.
Guys, don't forget, Mike Skinner is out of sequence. He's the one driver of these lead group that have consistently pitted 4 and 5 laps ahead of everybody else. So Skinner may be out front, feeling the breath of the number 24 Gordon, but he also knows he's going to have to pit earlier than everybody else.
We've We've got 38 laps to go now. And again, the battle is up front for the lead. Mike Skinner in command at the moment, but Jeff Gordon is hounding him, and now Gordon looks to the inside as they come off the second corner. 5/8 of a mile down this backstretch. Jeff Gordon is going to pass Skinner and go into the lead. But Mike didn't want to give it up, did he?
He did not want to give it up, but yes, put Jeff Gordon in front, and that was a big move, because if Mike Skinner was holding up Jeff Gordon, and that was allowing those Fords to catch up to him, now Jeff Gordon has clean racetrack. If he has a fast car, which it looks like he does, maybe he'll be able to drive away from the Fords. Jeff Burton, Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd.
At lap 120, Skinner was the leader. He just lost it to Jeff Gordon. We've had 17 lead changes now, 4 caution periods, a total of 18 laps, and the average speed a little above 132 miles an hour. We'll show you those drivers that are out of competition here. A couple because of mechanical problems and the others because of crashes. And now those who have led at least 1 lap. Ernie Irvan continues to be on the top of that list as leading the most laps so far. So Jeff Gordon now begins to pull away just a little bit from Mike Skinner.
But hang on, because Dale Jarrett the last time ran 1.5 miles an hour faster than Jeff Gordon.
So both Burton and Jarrett appear to be closing in on the leader, Jeff Gordon. Back with more after these messages at Indianapolis. Pennzoil presents Impressions of the Brickyard.
I think this, whole weekend's real special because of the track is so big. It's got a lot of history behind it. It's got a lot of fans here. The fans are just unbelievable. And to come here to the Brickyard 400 on an extremely smooth, extremely fast racetrack is pretty neat. And to be able to go down these straightaways and see thousands and thousands of fans is a pretty incredible deal.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Robin Roberts in New York. Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, our day of auto racing continues as top NASCAR, kart, and Trans Am drivers compete in identical cars at the International Race of Champions. Then in our 1984 Wide World Classic, Richard Petty battles Cale Yarborough for his 200th victory.
It's a situation where you just do it and you react to what's going on, and it just happened to be our day and not Cale's day that day.
We'll also span the globe, all next on Wide World.
Jeff Gordon continues to lead, but both Mike Skinner and Jeff Burton are right there. And we would like to thank Miller Brewing again for the great aerial views on today's race. They're being provided by a most unusual eye-in-the-sky, an airplane called the Miller Eagle. The Eagle has been helping us follow the action all day long. Jeff Gordon came out of corner number 4 a while ago as we watched Jeff Burton battle with Mike Skinner. Burton tries to get to the inside of him and can't, but watch him off the corner down the straightaway.
Man, that was close. That I thought Burton was going on, and how he did go on is beyond me. And look, Dale Jarrett has caught up to this group.
And a couple of laps ago, Jeff Gordon had a very intense and close moment coming out of 4. Now watch.
That's Michael Waltrip that he's going by. He comes off the corner and right there just might have touched the wall a little bit. Looked like he touched the wall just barely as he came off the corner.
Well, Ray Evernham has radioed to Jeff Gordon and told him to drive in easy and drive off straight. And now Dale Earnhardt tries to get his lap back, one of 2 laps back.
He's just not going 2 laps down.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention.
All right. They're 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And not too far behind is the 5th place car, Ricky Rudd.
And look how much room that Skinner caught on. And look here. Here goes Jarrett by the 99.
And there was contact between Earnhardt and Burton, it looked like. 3 wide down the backstretch. Who's going to come out with 3rd position? Jarrett.
There was some contact between 3 and the 99.
While these guys have been racing, Jeff Gordon has stretched out the advantage once again, and also Mike Skinner has been able to pull away from these 2 Fords. 2 Fords, 2 Chevys up front, and 2 Fords, 3rd and 4th.
That was Todd Parrott talking to Dale Jarrett. Crew chief on the 88 car talking to his driver.
We've got 30 laps to go, and we get a report from Jerry Punch.
They are just telling Dale Jarrett he is about 0.4 of a second faster than anything on the racetrack right now. That's the good news. The bad news is that Dale Jarrett, by their calculations, will be 9 laps shy on fuel. He can make it no farther than lap 151 if we don't get another caution flag. But we have checked down here, and at least one car in the top 15 may be able to make it the rest of the way. That would be Bobby Labonte's Interstate Batteries Pontiac. He may not have to stop for fuel.
You don't even see him in the top 10, but he is in 11th position, so we'll see if Labonte can make it. Here's Jack.
Well, let's ask you what you think Mike Skinner's going to be able to do. Remember he told you he comes in early? Well, on lap 145, his crew is going to bring Mike Skinner onto pit road, and that's a tough break for a cat that's running second. Remember, he sat on the pole at Daytona, but he hasn't had the best of rookie years.
Look at this battle now. Second, third, and fourth running right together, and victory lane is being prepared as they bring out the sweepers and the brooms. We'll check the speeds here at the line. We've heard that Dale Jarrett is the fastest car on the racetrack, and we're going to find out here if he was that last lap.
I'll tell you what, I've been impressed by Mike Skinner. He has hung on. He is running a heck of a race today.
Well, Jeff Burton, the fastest of the top 5 cars.
You're right, Burton was just a little bit faster than the 88 car.
On the lap before that, Jarrett was the fastest. Just depends on how much traffic and how the lap goes.
28 laps to go.
Tonight on ABC, your family can laugh at Family Matters in a brand new Hangin' with Mr. Cooper. Then Tim Allen, Jerry Seinfeld, and Paul Reiser are just 3 of the Comedy Club superstars who'll keep you laughing for an hour. And Dylan McDermott stars in the critically acclaimed The Practice. All that tonight on ABC.
Boy, Burton is giving Dale Jarrett all he wants right on the back bumper of that Ford Quality Care car. Jeff Gordon's looking at his... Oh, here we go. Skinner came off the corner, looked like he was going to lose control. Jarrett trying to get a run. He does have a run. Second spot.
Dale Jarrett moves into second position. Dale Jarrett has won this year at Atlanta, at Darlington, at the second Pocono race, and of course he's known for winning the big events. He's won twice at Daytona. He's won once here at Indianapolis, and now the drivers that are running first and second both have a victory here.
Todd Parrott said, just drive smooth, don't burn the right rear off, because they know if they stop, it will be gas only.
And that's the exact same thing Ray Evernham has told Jeff Gordon. Think rhythm, drive it in easy, drive it out straight. You got to take care of that right rear. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. The 24 car cannot go the distance. They'll be about 5 laps shy. Mark Martin, who was one of the fastest cars, car number 6, currently 6th, will be about 1.5 gallons short. Steve Meal, the team manager, said, you know that 1.5 gallons we were short at California? Well, we need it here, too.
And Bill Weber, listen to what they're telling number 31. What they've just radioed to him is, listen, it's not important whether you win this race. It's more important that you finish this race. Now gather it back up after being passed by Dale Jarrett and just race nice and easy. Skinner took the advice and pulled back in.
And Jack, here in Dale Jarrett's pit, the fuel calculations have now been finally completed. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to come in with 5 laps to go. On lap 155, Jarrett will pit. They will stop him for for 2 seconds. That is 3 gallons of gas. That's what he will need to run the last 5 laps.
Well, Jeff Burton has tried everything he can to get into third position over Mike Skinner, but hasn't been able to. And now Dale Jarrett goes for the lead in the short chute between 3 and 4, and Jarrett goes into the lead.
Wow. How impressive is that? Jarrett's car is so fast today.
There you go, Catfish. We might have to stop for gas. They know who's got the baddest ass car here today.
24 laps to go, and Jarrett leads Gordon in the 4th Brickyard 400.
Yes, sir. There's no doubt. The 88 car is the baddest cat in the alley today. There's no doubt about it.
I'm glad you didn't use his terminology.
The car in front of you has a tire rub on the right front. Just keep your eyes on it. Make sure he doesn't blow going in the corner.
That's Todd Fields, who's communicating with his driver,
Dale Jarrett. There's the 42 he was talking about. His tires rubbing. These spotters see everything, don't they?
They are the eyes of the race driver on the racetrack. You can only see what's immediately ahead of you, and those spotters keep the driver informed as to what's going on elsewhere.
There's the first 4 cars. Dale Jarrett's the leader. Jeff Gordon is second. Mike Skinner is third. There's the 2 leaders. And then in turn 1.
Hey, Benny.
Yes.
Remember the first Brickyard 400 here in 1994? The 24 car was following a Yates car. Well, then it was Ernie Irvin. But the 28 car couldn't hang on, and the 24 car went on to win the race.
That's right. The 28 car lost the right front. Battle for the lead, and Gordon will take the lead back.
He nearly goes to the grass on the backstretch to try to get the lead. We thought he was going to, but Jarrett holds him off.
Wow. He caught Michael Walter coming off the corner. He had to move up the racetrack, which gave Jeff Gordon a run. I thought Gordon was fine. How did he do that?
I did too. Jarrett somehow held off the challenge.
And look at this. Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin is in the same picture. I mean, there's 6 cars. 6 cars just within seconds. As a matter of fact, 6 cars within 2 seconds between first and second.
And here's a battle for 5th, and Mark Martin takes Ricky Rudd, and Martin goes into 5th.
And David Green just took the Caterpillar Chevrolet to the garage area, out for the day.
So there they are, folks. 2, 4, and 6. That's how close they are with just 22 laps to go in this race. Jarrett leading Jeff Gordon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on a Saturday afternoon. Back with more action after this. It's still Jarrett and Gordon up front. We have had a change of position. Mike Skinner is still running 3rd, but Mark Martin has moved to 4th. Burton back to 5th, and Rudd is now in 6th position and is about to be passed.
No, Ricky Rudd just passed Jeff Burton.
All right. Well, positions are being changed as we speak.
Maybe Jeff Burton is backing off, trying to make it on gasoline. He might be gambling here.
Let's go to Jerry Punch with an assessment of what's going on in the pit area and what will go on.
Bob, before I talk about fuel mileage, Jeff Burton a moment ago just keyed the radio and said, guys, something's wrong with the 99. We haven't heard any more from Burton that time by. Now, fuel mileage, Dale Jarrett will have to pit with just 5 laps to go. The car number 88 cannot make it on fuel. They will come down pit road, stopping for 2 seconds, and take on 3 gallons of fuel. That's what they need to finish. In my section, 1 car thinks they can make it. That is the Interstate Batteries Pontiac of Bobby Labonte. Right now, they are not planning to stop. They will go to lap 160.
And Mark Martin moves into 3rd place by Mike Skinner.
So don't count Mark Martin out of this contest by any means. 2nd in the point standings coming in, and he is having a great run. Jackaroo.
Well, Mike Skinner has said that his car does not run well by itself. It starts to slow down. He should be on pit road in about 3 laps. It will be the first of the leaders pitting. One guy that has no intention of pitting, they're going to roll the dice with the Tide Rod. Your current 5th place runner, Ricky Rudd. I've talked to his crew chief. He said, what the heck? We're going for the Brickyard 400 win. Bill Weber, They're not going to pitch.
Well, Jack, Jeff Gordon's going to have to, with about 5 laps to go. Out on the track, he's looking for every bit of drafting help he can get, just in case maybe a caution would come out or something would change. But it's unlikely that would happen. Gordon will have to stop. Johnny Benson is driving the Pennzoil Pontiac. He had this conversation with crew chief Doug Hewitt. If they do a stop and go, do we have enough time to beat him down pit road? Doug Hewitt said it will be close. Johnny Benson, the gutsy young gun, said either way, it's our only shot. Let's go for it. Jerry Punch.
Meanwhile, back on the car, number 99 of Jeff Burton, we saw slow a moment ago. Burton is now saying he thinks he has a tire going down. The vibration is getting worse and worse in the X-side Ford. He is going to come down pit road and change all 4 tires. But now apparently a caution flag.
Robbie Gordon has apparently hit the wall. The car is up in the gray portion of the racetrack and will wait for a caution, but there is none yet. No caution yet. As the battle up front continues, and Benny, it's going to be interesting to see who can go the distance, who has to come in, and who maybe might run out if he does go the distance.
Man, this is so exciting. With just 16 laps to go.
Guys, Mike Skinner radioed in that there was debris on the racetrack. He ran over it. He's concerned, and he's lobbying for a yellow flag with the trackside Winston Cup officials. His crew is saying, and I've heard Skinner say it himself, I've run over debris, and they finally said to him, just pit.
And that is exactly what is happening. There's Jeff Burton coming in for the stop.
Man, that is a tough break. How well that car ran. The X-side batter's forward. Looks like they're going to change 4 tires. They've got a vibration. You can't be sure which one it is. Buddy Parrott back just cheering them on. As we see Robbie Gordon bringing the Coors Light Chevrolet down pit road.
Right side damage on that car. Jeff Burton is back underway as he comes down pit road and onto the racetrack.
And let me tell you something. When he hits the racetrack, you talk about driving like a... Oh, caution! Caution flag is waving. Oh, a tough break for Burton. Is he going to be able to get back out of the pit road? No, here comes the leader. Burton is going down pit road. It looks like Burton will win the race out of the pit road.
Wow, that was close, though. Well, this is going to set up a really unusual situation. Burton, I don't know.
He don't have to stop anymore. You see that? Now, the other guys are going to have to stop. Burton will be in front with 4 fresh tires.
How about that? So Jeff Burton may have chosen exactly the right time to make that pit stop. He could be the winner here this afternoon.
At least a real good chance to win this thing.
And now this is going to allow all of that strategy to go down the drain because everybody comes in, tops off, and does whatever he has to. But again, track position is very important. You want to do as little as possible on pit road.
It's going to be about 10, 12 laps to go when they throw the green flag. Jeff Burton has 4 fresh tires, which really forces these other guys possibly to change tires as well. Man, are these crew chiefs wondering right now, what do I do?
An interesting situation as we near the closing laps of the Brickyard 400. We're under caution for the 5th time this afternoon. The pace car has the field in turn number 3. The reason for the caution was debris from the incident involving Robbie Gordon. There he is coming off the corner and slamming against the wall. And there was debris that came from his car, and NASCAR threw the caution. Now you can see that pit road is closed at the moment
because the pace car has not gone by pit road to open up the pit road. We see the green flag in the Winston Cup official's hand. As soon as the pace car comes off the corner, he should start waving that green, which means, yep.
There it is.
All right.
And Benny, this is a good break for Mike Skinner. As he said, he ran over the debris, thought he had a flat. Now these tires do have inner liners to keep them rigid. But he also said,
I thought Mark Martin was going to stay on the racetrack.
So
18 car stays out.
Bobby Labonte does stay out there. So does Johnny Benson. But a lot of activity on pit road. Mark Martin has already got necessary fuel, and he's away. Didn't change tires. They're going to do the same thing to Jeff Gordon, but make an adjustment there in the back end.
Put just 1 round of bite in the 24 car. The 88 car, gas fuel only on these cars. Still, Jerry will win off that battle on pit road, but they've got to fall in behind all these cars on the racetrack. Mark Martin has to follow the 99 car. Ricky Rudd stayed on the racetrack, chose not to pit. He will be our leader when we go back to green flag. Man, oh man, this thing is really, really something.
Well, we heard that he was going to try to stretch it and even didn't take the opportunity when it arose there under caution.
Hey, Benny Parsons.
Yes.
There is some concern in the Dale Jarrett pit that they may not have gotten enough fuel in the car.
Oh,
They're
my
gonna wait.
gosh.
We'll let you know in a moment.
Stay tuned. This thing is far from over. We'll return with more of the Brickyard 400 after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We have less than 12 laps to go here in Indianapolis in the Brickyard 400, and we are under caution. The Goodyear blimp Spirit of Akron is 1,000 feet above the track and covering the course at 35 miles an hour. And a reminder, Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 Pacific, ABC Sports will have live preseason football action. The Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos live from Mexico City. Miami finishing the season, of course, 8-8. They're led by quarterback John Elway. Of course, the Broncos they were 13-3. Here is the rundown. Rudd did not stop. Labonte did not stop. Benson didn't stop. Craven didn't stop. Burton did.
He did stop on the green flag. Remember, folks, got 4 tires. This guy might have the advantage. What about that 88 car? Jerry Punch?
Well, here in Dale Jarrett's pits behind me, Steve Allen a moment ago was on his knees, folks. He wasn't praying. What he was doing was trying to figure out if they got enough fuel in the car. And what he just figured was that they needed 2.5 seconds of fuel. They got 3 seconds of fuel in the car, so they should be very, very close, but they should have enough. Let's check in with Jack.
Well, Jerry, during a Friday practice session, Ricky Rudd and his crew tried to run a car to see what kind of fuel mileage they could get. They're using those figures to determine that they do not have to pit. Last time by, Ricky Rudd said to his crew, boy, am I glad we did that during practice on Friday. All they said was 10-4.
Check this out. The 99 car, Jeff Burton, he had the hammer. He had the advantage. Watch all the cars go by him. NASCAR has penalized him, guess what for?
For running the stoplight.
No, speeding down pit road.
No kidding. Well,
we saw him trying to beat the leaders out.
Yep.
And NASCAR said he's going a little bit too fast. His penalty, he's got to go to the end of the longest line.
Man, so Jeff Burton's hopes of winning this race have been set back tremendously. Yep.
Probably went right out the window as Skinner goes by. All the cars on the lead lap will go by. The best he will be is 24th when they restart this thing.
Well, he just tried too hard to get out of pit road and onto the racetrack before the leader came around, and he exceeded the speed limit.
We saw him motion to all the cars, go on by. He goes, I got to follow everybody. See the cars back and forth, back and forth. See, these cars have not changed tires. They have old tires on. Those tires are hot. On these slowdown periods, they pick up all kinds of debris, small stones, rubber on the racetrack. They've got to swerve the car back and forth, trying to wipe that debris off the tires. Because when they accelerate down the front stretch going turn 1, with debris on the tires, they won't stick. The car slides across the racetrack. They got to be sure they get those tires as clean as possible.
Are you excited?
Yes, I am. Excited.
We're going to have 10 laps of green flag racing. Hopefully 10 laps. They're going to go back to green with 10 to go. And we're going to see who's the best here.
This might be the biggest wreck we've ever seen right here.
Oh, don't say that. We don't need that. We don't need to end the race under caution. We need to see him come down battling and weaving and trying to win.
Ricky Craven in 4th place. Another car that's staying out there trying to make it.
Been a good run for Ricky Craven, who didn't qualify well, but is in 4th position as we get set to go back to racing. The pace car pulls off, and here we go. Ricky Rudd, Bobby Labonte, and Johnny Benson are your first 3, and the race goes under green once again. And look at Rudd pull away from everybody else, putting 2-3 car lengths between himself and Labonte. It's going to be interesting to see now, though, if Jarrett and Gordon, who had the hottest cars before this caution, can move through the traffic and be contenders.
There's Jarrett as he tries to close in on the back bumper of Mark Martin. Remember, just before the caution play, Martin on an incredibly fast race car. There comes Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, trying to weave his way through. Now, the first 6 or 7 cars got some space between themselves and Gordon.
Dale Earnhardt, but he is not a factor in this race. He's 2 laps down in 30th position, but he's running here at the front of the field. Benson to the inside. He tries to pass the slower car of Kenny Wallace, and Ricky Rudd leads another lap.
As Jimmy Spencer that Benson goes by, Spencer has some contact. He is a lap down in the 23 car. Mark Martin has been able to get by Ricky Craven. To put Martin up in 4th spot. And I believe one of those 3 cars in front is going to run out of gas. I don't know which one.
Benny, in the ESPN pregame show, we talked about some of the young guns in racing. Well, 5 of them on that restart were inside the top 10. The one furthest to the front was Johnny Benson in 3rd. I talked to his co-owner, to his car owner, Chuck Ryder, who said it's all up to the driver now. Because of that caution, he does have enough fuel to reach the finish.
So the 30 car can make it. Here comes the 6 trying to get by, trying to catch those cars in front.
And now there are 8 laps to go in the Brickyard 400.
Up the leader, Ricky Rudd.
And now Gordon to the inside of Earnhardt. Gordon still running in 7th position.
And here comes Earnhardt back by Gordon. Well, no, he will drop in and let Gordon go.
Jeremy Mayfield back there in the white 37 cars running in 8th position. Kyle Petty is in the top 10, and so is Bill Elliott.
The 10 and 18 car stopped on lap 114. The 30 car stopped on lap 116.
Hey, look at Jeff Gordon slide to the inside. He's right on Dale Jarrett's bumper as they go down the straightaway, and they'll try to pass Ricky Craven.
Jarrett gets by. Gordon gets by. Earnhardt says, I want to race with these guys too. Jeremy Mayfield, that's for position. The 37 car will get by Craven.
Craven and Gordon, of course, are teammates with Rick Hendrick. Well, Benny, they're running out of time. We've got about 6.5 laps to go here as Rudd continues to hold about a half-second advantage over Bobby Labonte. And these guys are running about 3 seconds behind the leader. And we have a crash. Will we have a caution? That is Rich Bickle, who is facing the wrong direction on the racetrack, and the caution comes out with 6 laps to go.
Wow. Well, there's going to be about 3 laps. Oh, my goodness, look at those cars go by. Rich, sit there a little bit. Don't take those belts off. Not in a very good position.
And so another element of drama as we are stopped once again, or at least reduced in speed, as Rich Bickle has spun, causing the 6th caution flag of the afternoon on lap 155. Back in a moment.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Roberts in New York. Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, our day of auto racing continues as top NASCAR, kart, and Trans Am drivers compete in identical cars at the International Race of Champions. Then in our 1984 Wide World Classic, Richard Petty battles Cale Yarborough for his 200th victory.
It was a situation where you just do it and you react to what's going on, and it just happened to be our day and not Cale's day that day.
We will also span the globe. It's all coming up next on Wide World. Let's go back to Bob Jenkins at the Brickyard. Just 6 laps left to go.
Under caution once again here at Indianapolis with less than 5 laps to go in this race. Rich Bickle has spun up in turn number 3, and here it is from his onboard camera.
He's going down the back stretch. We'll just listen.
And he ends up in the middle of the racetrack, and some had to take evasive action to keep from hitting him.
And he was a little wobbly getting out of the car.
Yep.
And we see him there with the stretcher helping Rich on. I mean, he's okay, I think, but they're helping him on the stretcher. And he is the leader in the NASCAR. Well, he was the leader, Jack Spray. He's now second in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series points.
So the wrecker has arrived, and the car is off the racetrack. Tomorrow night on ABC, after Second No and America's Funniest Home Videos, Lori Loughlin and Martin Sheen star in one of her own on the Sunday Night Movie. Tomorrow night here on ABC. They're giving the field the 1 lap to go signal, although we still have crews up there in turn number 3, but they'll quickly complete their work, get off the track, and we'll go green with what, 3 laps to go?
Well, they'll throw the green flag with 3 laps to go. Right now, the signal's being given, and the flagman is pointing the finger down.
And Bob Jenkins, with this last few lap dash, the drivers need every single horsepower they can get. And Dale Jarrett has been told to turn the fan off, turn the blowers off, turn the alternator off. Don't let anything tax the engine. Just drive it with nothing pulling the horsepower down, and we might have a shot.
All right, here's a field summary now showing you where everybody is. Was the flagman pointing at the line and telling them that they better not pass before that?
That was telling them to get the cars will restart in single file.
Okay.
And only the cars on the lead lap, only the cars on the lead lap will be able to close up nose to tail. All the cars a lap down, as we see. Jimmy Spencer will start 24th on this start. He was second or third in the line, but he's got to go to the rear and start 23rd or 24th. The cars on the lead lap will line up nose to tail, and they'll have 3 laps to decide where they're going to finish.
The leader is Ricky Rudd, who has finished 11th, 20th, and 6th here at the Brickyard 400. As you can see, the work has been completed there in turn number 3. The racetrack is clear and ready for 3 laps to checkered.
We see that Jimmy Spencer has fallen back to where I said he was going to.
What do you think? Does anybody have any kind of an advantage here when they throw the green flag?
I don't think so.
Every man for himself, huh?
I mean, every man for himself. Ricky Rudd was very, very fast. He's had a fast race car all day in the Tide Ford. Mark Martin has been awfully fast. The 18 and the 30, we've seen the 18 car run well today.
And again, the drivers are cleaning the tires down the backstretch, so they'll have none of that rubber buildup on the tires when they go green.
Because when Rich Bickle spun up there to evade, the next time by when the pace car picked them up, the safety crew was there. All these cars had to go around them up in the debris. So all these cars picked up those stones and rubber. They're making sure to get it off these tires. The crowd is on their feet. They know that this is it. If there's a caution flag now, the race is over.
Yeah. Pace car leads them slowly through turn number 4. Ricky Rudd is staring now at the long straightaway ahead of him and a green flag. And he's also staring at the possibility of winning this race. But there are about 5 or 6 others who would also like to take the checkered flag first. Here we go. The green flag is waving, and we're back to racing.
Those guys are stopping for the fuel. If they'd just known all these caution flag laps were coming out, they might have been able to make it. As Kyle Petty dives to the inside of Craven. That's for position.
And Kyle gets it going into turn number 1. Bill Elliott is right there also with Ricky Craven. He's running in 10th position. Benson, Martin, Jarrett, Gordon.
This is for 4th, 5th, and 6th. There's the leader, Ricky Rudd. Second place, Bobby Labonte, Johnny Benson, Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett. But no one can close up on Ricky Rudd, Bob.
Nope, there are 2 laps to go now, and Rudd is able to stay out in front by about a half second. We're on board with Jeff Gordon as he has Dale Jarrett up ahead of him. 2 laps to go. Mark Martin trying to get 3rd position from Johnny Benson.
And he will get a run off the second corner.
Here they come down the backstretch. And maybe some contact there as both Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett try to get inside of Johnny Benson, and there's contact there also, and Martin is out of control, and so is Benson, but they save it. Benson loses about 3 or 4 positions.
Or more.
He falls back to 11th.
That same situation. Here we come. White flag for Ricky Rudd.
One more lap to go around the 2.5-mile oval, and more contact back here as Kyle Petty and Jeremy Mayfield make contact with each other. Look at this race as they head for the corner.
There's the lead.
Bobby Labonte chasing Ricky Rudd off the second corner. They're onto the backstretch for the final time in this year's Brickyard 400. Rudd with about a 5 or 6 car length advantage on Bobby Labonte. They head for turn number 3 for the final time. Rudd is through there safely onto the short chute. Into turn number 4, and now onto the straightaway. Labonte makes a final run at him. He closes in. Will he make a move? He cannot do it. Ricky Rudd wins the 4th Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis. There is major celebration going on in the pit area, and Ernie Irvin comes out with some body damage after that scramble down to the line. He finished in 10th position. So we will be back here at the Brickyard to talk with the winner of this year's Brickyard 400, Ricky Rudd. We'll be back in just a moment to do that.
The Brickyard 400 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. Monsoon, power, attitude, audio for the road. Team Monte Carlo, Chevy, the cars more champions trust. And Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
The Brickyard 400 is over, and Ricky Rudd has won his 19th career victory. He led 15 of the 160 laps. We had 19 lead changes, a very competitive race. 6 cautions held the average speed down to just under 131 miles an hour.
Is he a happy guy or what? Look at that smile.
Pulling into victory lane right now is the young man from Chesapeake, Virginia. He gives Ford his 12th win of the year.
Getting the congratulations of his wife, Linda. This is a young man that first made his racing mark in go-karts back in Chesapeake, Virginia. His first Winston Cup ride, he borrowed it from a friend of his from Chesapeake, Virginia. His brother and he argued over who would be the driver, who would be the crew chief, and now Ricky Rudd has come to the Brickyard 400 victory lane, and guess what, guys? He ran out of gas trying to get to victory lane. Ricky Rudd, you told the crew you're the big dog today.
Well, I tell you, these guys done a great job. We were third, fourth place car today, and they kept digging. In practice the other day, we were a last place car, and they didn't give up. They kept working on this Tide Whirlpool Ford, and they got us pretty racy in the pit strategy and fuel mileage with George Gable, and all the guys over there at Pro Motor did a great job today. So it's just unbelievable here. Gary Myers did the tuning on the motor, so I don't know what to say. This is just a shock to me.
Ricky, with about 20 or 30 laps to go, you began to back off the throttle just a little bit. Some people may have counted you out of the race, but you had begun to conserve fuel.
Well, we knew this was going to be really tight, really tight. We were going to go for it. We were going to roll the dice. We were either going to win it or we were going to finish last. And, you know, these guys kept telling me, back off a little bit. If you don't back off, you're not going to make it. And then the cautions played right into our hand.
Well, this is the time for the big payday, but it's also the time to receive the commemorative PPG brick, and your name will go on the PPG trophy. To make the presentation is the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Tony George.
Ricky, first of all, congratulations. You guys called a great race. On behalf of PPG, I'd like to present this with you on the 1997 winning of the Brickyard 400.
Thanks very much, Tony. It's just there's a boyhood dream to be able to race here at Indianapolis, and let alone race, but come here and win this thing in the stock cars is unbelievable. I took a tour around here when I was 12 years old. We were racing go-karts down the street. Never thought we'd be racing here. It's unbelievable.
When will it sink in? When will you and your wife get really emotional about this victory?
Man, I don't know. I took my helmet off, took the window net down on the cool-down lap, and just got a chance to think about it. I'd like to say hello to my dad back home. I know he's watching.
Let's go back to the tower.
Ricky Rudd wins the Brickyard 400, and let's take a look at the unofficial results. Bobby Labonte ran a great race. So did Jarrett, Gordon, and Mayfield.
And Early Every back in 10th spot. Some contact on the last lap. Don't know who with. Schrader 11th spot. Jeff Burton will finish in 15th.
And we had 23 cars on the lead lap when the checkered flag fell this afternoon. Robbie Gordon finished in 28th, and Dale Earnhardt ended up in 29th position. And here is the rest of the rundown as we had 8 cars out of the race when the checkered flag dropped. Well, coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the International Race of Champions from the new California Motor Speedway. For Jerry Punch, Jack Arute, Phil Weber, and Benny Parsons, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. Ricky Rudd wins the Brickyard 400. So long from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.